Gonçalo rega a mesa, ele come constantemente, é incrível. De manhã à noite nunca passa o apetite, é insaciável. É verdade, ele engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Ele engole e vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor, está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor e está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Gonçalo rega a mesa, ele come constantemente, é incrível. De manhã à noite nunca passa o apetite, é insaciável. É verdade, ele engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro ogro sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Ele engole e vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo seguiu o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor, está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro lobo sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor e está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Gonçalo rega a mesa, ele come constantemente, é incrível. De manhã à noite nunca passa o apetite, é insaciável. É verdade, ele engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro lobo sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro lobo sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Engole tortas, bolos, pizzas, massas, batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro lobo sem dúvida. A família dele está preocupada, mas ele não quer saber. Para ele comer é um verdadeiro prazer. Ele só pensa nisso de manhã à noite e ele não consegue parar, mesmo que seu estômago doa. Ele engole e vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo seguiu o conselho do médico. Ele começa a comer alimentos saudáveis e balanceados. Ele se sente muito melhor, está mais feliz do que nunca. Ele finalmente entendeu que precisava mudar seus hábitos. Batatas fritas e toneladas de arroz. Ele não deixa nada no prato, ele é um verdadeiro lobo sem dúvida. Um dia ele vai ao médico porque não se sente bem. O médico diz que ele precisa mudar seus hábitos alimentares. Caso contrário, ele terá sérios problemas de saúde. Gonçalo decide seguir o conselho do médico. Ele começa.
Hi guys, welcome back to another live stream. I hope you all had an amazing day. So today we're gonna be reacting to the harsh truth like we always do here on the channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Before we get into it though, into the content of today's stream, don't forget to follow me on Kick. We're trying to reach 800 followers. Not only that, we're trying to get verified. So I'd appreciate it if you participate here on the stream by talking in chat, watching the stream, or dropping a sub. So we can be one step closer towards our verification. We do stream at the same time on YouTube, so I would appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers. We're currently at 87 subscribers, so I'd appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. Go check out the additional content I give to you guys on other social media. So go follow me everywhere, enjoy all the content. And yeah, let's get into the stream. Very excited. Again, as I said many times, don't forget to subscribe to Riyadh. Don't forget to subscribe to Myron Games as well. Again, two amazing people, amazing Twitch streamers, Kick streamers, Rumble streamers, YouTubers, whatever, that know how to extract all the information that we need, connect the dots, and show us the proof. Again, many times they are very good people when it comes to the truth in nothing but the truth. I suggest you guys to watch these people because they have really good content, and not only that, they give you guys the truth and nothing but the truth. We're gonna do a little updates when it's going on with the politics and the war and shit like that, and we're gonna finish off with a little sprinkle of feminism, the bullshit that it is. We all know it, and yeah, I'm excited. So let's get into it.
To the Cory Booker and Marco Rubio fight.
I was listening to their conversations you had
There we
with some
go.
of my colleagues.
So again, the purpose why I do this, even though I'm in Europe, is because a lot of people in Europe do not know anything about America, what's going on with the war, when it comes to geopolitics. So I was like, it's a topic that I have a fair amount of knowledge, and not only that, there's people that talk about it. So I was like, it would be good for the European to know this, because it has a big effect in Europe as well. We're in the world where what happens outside of Europe ends up giving us the consequences no matter what. So it's important for the people here in Europe to know what's going on outside of Europe, geopolitics and so on. So yeah, this is literally the reason why I do these streams once a week. The harsh truth when we talk about politics, geopolitics and so goes on. Very excited because we're gonna have geopolitics today. It's not gonna be a lot of wars, what's going on in Iran. I mean, it's connected to it, but it's more like geopolitics, what's going on in the Middle East to America. Very interesting because it's still connected to the war, but politically. We're going towards the side of politically, not military. So I'm excited to see where are we going and what happened these past 2 weeks. So yeah, let's go.
So this was today. So this is fresh. We're getting fresh news, baby. Fresh off the grill here.
We've now seen the Strait closed for months, and you explained that we're going to see an opening of the Strait, and that ultimately the exchange we will get for that is after that fact we will release certain sanctions. Is that correct?
No, that's not what I said. What I said was that if they open the straits, we will lift our blockade. The straits and the blockade are what are interrelated.
And so for the nuclear program, in exchange for...
But the foreign minister and the parliament speaker and really the peace talk delegation of Iran have said several times that the blockade is what is provoking them to continue the blockade on the Strait of Hormuz, the blockade of the blockade. Us blocking their naval ports, us blocking them, is an act of aggression that is going to warrant them to continuously block the Strait of Hormuz. So I'm not saying Rubio's contradicting himself or anything. I'm just saying, like, Iran is saying the same exact thing on their end.
Instead of telling you about how amazing Toonbi really is, why don't I just show you? Let's say we want a bee explaining the law of gravity, and boom, in
How
1
about
second,
we don't care?
We're saying no
Jesus
peace talks until they
Christ.
release the Strait, and they're saying no peace talks until you release our blockade of the Strait, right? Or our blockade of the naval ports, or your blockade rather. And it's like this stuff just gets confusing to talk about. blocking this, blocking that. You're all idiots. You're all idiots. Why the f would you bomb Iran? Okay.
Getting rid
That
of
was,
the
yeah, I was
system.
about to say that was the biggest mistake of them all. It's the first thing you shouldn't have done, which is blockade the blockade. That was the stupid fucking decision ever. They knew that if they blockaded, there wouldn't be no peace, bro. That's all I want to say.
Material out of country, I imagine, is what the highly enriched uranium. We would release sanctions. Is that correct?
Well, it's not just that. It's also their enrichment activity. They would have to, they would have to make very severe and significant concessions on what they intend to enrich in the future.
And already with the March relaxing of sanctions, allowing Iranians to sell oil to the Chinese, estimates have been between 10 and $50 billion they got from that relaxing of sanctions.
Bro, they got a lot of fucking money. Holy. Fucking hell, that's a lot of money.
How much
That's just estimated. They're not really sure if it's actually that. Damn.
money might we see in a deal in our relaxings of sanctions in order to get rid of the
Fucking
highly
chipper.
enriched uranium
Yeah.
and stop their enrichment?
Well, let me just tell you on that portion. The sanctions that were released on Iran were boats on the water. And so that oil was already out in the marketplace. It was sold at market rates, but the sanctions covered, and to the extent we've been able to enforce them, we have the revenues of those sales. So yeah, the Iranian oil was unsanctioned so that it could be sold, but the revenue would have to flow back to blocked accounts, which our sanctions were able to go after. We've also seized, I believe, 6 vessels in the Indo-Pacific that involved Iranian sanctioned oil on top of it. So that wasn't necessarily a trade. They didn't get $50 billion directly as a result of. They might have gotten some of it. They certainly didn't get the majority of it. They are now losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day in revenue because of the blockade. And the blockade exists because of what they're doing in the Straits.
Right, right. And I guess the conclusion I have, and my time's expired, is that the Strait of Hormuz was open before this unjustified war.
Why do I have a feeling I'm gonna understand where he's going with this already?
We're now scrambling economic havoc to our country, try to find a way to get it back opened again.
There you go.
Not only is it causing economic havoc to our country and to residents all around this nation, families trying to make ends meet, but you see on top of that, the Iranians finding ways to leverage that, as we allowed them to do with the Chinese for tens of billions of dollars. And so my point is, before we even get to a nuclear negotiation, this regime is getting money to rebuild, purchase more drones, cause more havoc. And this is before we're even trying to get back to a
But
point where
I apologize. I don't understand how they're getting this. What revenue are you referring to?
Well, there's 2 sources of revenue we're seeing. One is the revenue from the Chinese, that's factually documented. And number 2, the revenue that you're proposing that they should receive by releasing all of their highly enriched uranium, as well as in making a commitment about their enrichment capacities.
Yeah.
Hold on. And that was the exact deal that you guys vilified, that the president and you vilified President Obama from having.
Yeah.
I knew he was gonna talk about Obama. I knew it. They had that deal and they fucked it up. They decided to destroy that fucking deal. I knew it. I knew he was gonna go towards the Obama deal. I fucking knew it. I knew it. I knew it. It was so obvious where this argument is gonna go.
Now,
It's like they're watching the show. It's so lovely.
Like they
It's like,
know.
yes.
They know.
Fry him!
They
Fry
know.
him!
They know.
Because I've
They
been
know, bro.
Crash it out.
They know.
I've been saying the same thing, bro, for 50 days. Like, bro, the other day,
Holy
Sneeko tuned
shit.
into my stream on live.
Holy shit,
And he
they
was like,
know.
oh, look, it's Riyadh talking about Iran.
It took so long for people to actually be real and put it, like, come on, bro. Holy.
For the 7,000th day. It's like, bro, but I keep saying the same thing. Like, please, somebody, please, somebody press them. These are great talking points.
Those were good.
Amazing
That
talking
was good.
points.
That was good.
Phenomenal.
That was
Please
good.
fry him. This
Hey,
is what I'm saying. Think
applause.
about it.
Applause.
Iran has had 1,000,000 days since the beginning of the ceasefire to build up missiles, to build up drones, to continue enriching uranium. No deal has been signed. Okay? Don't worry, guys.
He literally just explained the whole situation that's going on right now. And like, bro, it's like,
We're
get
gonna
one,
hold
bro.
the uranium.
Nice.
Hey, no deal has been signed, nigga, okay? No deal has
No
been
deal.
signed. God
That
knows
was
what
good.
they're
That was
doing
good.
with all the uranium. They might have a bomb right now. That's a conspiracy theory. No, it's not. Hey, imagine you just get attacked by the United States and Israel, and they absolutely destroy your infrastructure, kill your supreme leader, kill innocent civilians. 3,000, 4,000 plus. That's what the number was around the middle of March, moving into April before the ceasefire. Trump is saying, I'm going to send them back to the stone. We're going to send them back to the Stone Age. Trump is threatening all of these things. Pete Hegseth is echoing the same rhetoric. Marco Rubio suggesting they're crazy Shia clerics. They can't have a bomb. JD Vance as well. And then, you know, we're giving Iran, this regime that we're so terrified of that we had to attack out of nowhere, we're giving them 70, 80 days to replenish their munitions that they were using during the war. We're Hello, like, this is bad. Do I need to pull out the New York Times article again? Do I need to pull out the CIA report? CIA reported 75% of Iran's ballistic missile capability has been replenished ever since the ceasefire started. Iran said it's actually 120%.
If you struggle with
120%. Fuck!
focus, this sound might change everything.
And throughout the entire conflict, everything Trump has been saying has been false. Trump said, if you remember a couple weeks ago, Iran only has 18 to 17% of their ballistic missiles capability left. Trump is contradicting intelligence. This administration is lying to your face, lying straight to your face through their filthy teeth, saying, don't worry, they're almost done. Don't worry, no Navy, no Air Force. Bro, it was never about the Navy. Hello, it was never about the Navy. It was never about the Air Force. They got the speedboats, they got the missiles, they got the drones, they got the uranium. You're fucked. That's the crux of it all. That's what matters. That's why we got into this war. We want a regime change. Now we just made them closer with China. Now they have more missiles than they probably did have before the war started, or they're close to that same level if they're saying 120% replenishment. And now they're ready for our attack. Remember, we were going to start up attacks like 2 weeks ago on the weekend, and there were reports from several news outlets suggesting that Iran was ready for the pattern of airstrikes, which is why the United States deliberately held back, because we felt like our air campaign would not be as effective as it was the first time around, and the first time around was not even an effective air campaign. What is there left to do? Nigga, we've juiced everything. We have nothing left on the table. There's no options except to bomb them to hell. The only option now is to turn Iran into a parking lot like Israel did to Gaza. That's really the only option Donald Trump has if he wants to, quote unquote, win this war strategically. They say we won militarily. It's negligible. It doesn't matter. It's not relevant to the fact that we started the war to change the regime. Now we have a worse regime. Bro, like somebody cook up on Rubio. Somebody cook up.
Somebody cooked him.
Booker, yeah. I love it.
That was good. That was good.
Bro, I'm so tired of it. I'm so tired of it.
Someone finally said it.
Worse situation where our adversary and our enemy, who's causing havoc in the region, who is funding proxies and terrorists, has discovered, thanks to you all, the power of shutting down the Strait of Hormuz.
No, they didn't discover. They knew that a long time ago, and they've done it before.
Clearly, we all knew that a long time ago. That's why this
and they
ill-conceived...
Yeah, you knew the whole time. They knew. You knew. So why the fuck would you ever attack them, bruv? If you know they're gonna do that, why the fuck would you attack them? That's stupid. That's retarded. If you knew they were gonna use the Strait of Hormuz as a weapon to close the strait, why would you ever attack them? That's being stupid.
War should have never happened.
That's the
but
point.
It made our adversary in a stronger negotiating position. We are the strongest nation on the planet Earth, and we're in a stalemate with Iran. And now we're begging to get back into a deal that you all trashed in the first place.
There's no one begging.
Cook him!
Let's go! Let's fucking go! He's cooking him! Let's fucking
Cook him!
Senator Booker, your time's up. Rubio, since he's
I just want to address the response because they go to the heart of the matter. No one's begging for anything here.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are, bro.
Every single time Trump posts on Truth Social, what does he say? Don't worry, the strait is going to be opened up. Don't worry, the strait needs to be open. Hey, Iran, we could talk. The strait needs to be open. But then at the same time, Donald Trump is also saying, we don't need the strait. NATO, they're paper tigers. Which one is it? Do we not need the Strait, or do
He's
we need it?
cooking, bro.
I'm like
he's
crashing out
fucking
tonight.
cooking.
Let me calm down. Let me go back to classic Riyadh.
I'm,
But I'm, like,
I'm
having a
actually
little bit of
excited,
fun.
bro.
But it's like,
Finally.
which one is it?
God
You know,
damn,
Donald
someone
Trump has
said
said
it.
repeatedly, and I'm going to let the video play, but he said repeatedly, we don't need the Strait of Hormuz. That's not where we get our oil. Yeah, that's true. But tell that to the people in California who are paying $7 a gallon for regular gas. Like, what is the point
$7
of
a gallon.
even saying that?
Fucking hell.
It still has a price shock on our economy. It's still destroying our economy. It's still going to cause some sort of shortage. It's going to cause a price increase. But don't worry, we bombed their infrastructure. Don't worry.
that was good.
We
He's
killed
cooking
a bunch
him.
of people.
He's cooking that Rubio bitch. Cock.
Like, brother.
Let's
Trump don't
go.
care about
Let's
none
go.
of us.
The Iranians might be begging because their economy's losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day. That they are losing.
Bro, they don't care. They don't care. They're causing damage to you, bruv. They're causing damage to the country that you live in, bruv. That's the point. They don't care. Bro, it's so dumb.
Iran had street protests going on before all of this started.
That you charged up. You had the CIA and Mossad.
That's the thing. You had CIA and Mossad in the middle of that shit. So you know who caused that. You know who caused that. Bruv.
Inside of all of those protests. That's why the IRGC was so brutal with the protesters. Mike Pompeo admitted that in a tweet. Next. Mike Pompeo, former CIA director, went on Twitter and said, a Mossad agent walks alongside every protester. Do you have the gall to really say that? You have the gall to really keep using these talking points? You want to play around and you want to inject some American influence into a country. I'm not opposed to that. But full-scale regime change and removing a leader that has a lot of power and control and is already prepared for your attack by doing homework against their neighbors that have been subject to your regime change capabilities for the last 30 years is
Albion Online est un MMORPG bac à sable dans lequel
We don't
vous
care.
écrivez votre
Please, thank you.
All of those factors, economic factors in Iran, are far worse today than they were
This guy is
6
an
months ago
idiot,
when those
bro.
protests
This
were
Mark
happening.
Rubio is fucking
They have
idiot.
hyperinflation. Their currency's completely devalued. They're struggling to make payroll for their government workers. Iran is in a very serious situation. And if
Yeah, but they're fighting an existential threat. So it's all worth it. There has been a rally around the flag effect. Iran's losing money. Iran has inflation through the roof. We've sanctioned them to hell ever since 2018 when Donald Trump
They've been sanctioned for like years, so it's like they got used to it at this point.
pulled out of the JCPOA.
Like,
They've been dealing with inflation. They've been dealing with an unstable economy. So exactly what changes now that they're facing a threat that is trying to remove their power structure, that has charged up the
finally
people to
somebody's
get
like
behind the
testing these
IRGC,
people.
despite
That's
them
good.
not being favorable towards the IRGC prior. Even in the case where, God forbid, if something happened to Donald Trump in an attempt on his life, and another country was behind it, and then it also happened to Marco Rubio, and then it also happened to Pete Hegseth, which is what we effectively did in Iran. I'm mirroring the situation for you. The left and the right would have the highest likelihood of uniting against a foreign adversary. Am I wrong?
True.
Is that not
True.
reasonable to assume?
True.
So what do you think the case is in Iran? They should be appreciative of the fact that I'm eradicating the Iranian regime because they were going to make a bomb. They were going to make a bomb. They weren't going to make a bomb.
They were never gonna do
Now
it.
they're going to make a bomb.
No,
Now they
probably
might have
yes.
a bomb.
Now
and now
probably
it's
yes,
a really
yeah.
big dirty bomb. You and JD Vance want to sit in the White House talking about a big dirty bomb. JD Vance and the RNC is always saying they're going to make a big dirty bomb. We must strike Iran. Well, now they actually will. Now they actually will. Good job. You poked the bear. Good job. And so that's why I say the only way.
And on top of that, they put the sun on power. In power, sorry. And he's worse than the father. He's crazier than the fucking father. So it's like, good luck, bruv.
Stop this is to like nuke them. Is to literally nuke them. What else do you do? And by nuking, I mean hitting their energy infrastructure, like their power plants, their electric grid. That's what Donald Trump is threatening. Yeah, that would actually destabilize them a lot. That would make fighting for them very difficult. But guess what happens? Then they respond.
They respond by
retaliatory strikes
attacking
on the Gulf country.
Yeah, that's the problem, is the fact that they're going to attack on the rest of the Middle East. So do you want to attack them? Do you want to risk everyone else to go down because you wanted to attack Iran? That's the risk. That's
Saudi
the risk.
Arabia loses power. Kuwait loses power. Bahrain loses power. Or they hit the desalination plants that
Yeah, there's
reverse ocean water to drinking water.
No more
Within
water.
weeks,
No
the Middle
more
East
water.
has starvation. They have a shortage of water. How
Yeah.
do we remedy that? While fighting the war across the Persian Gulf.
Yeah,
They already hit a desalination plant in Kuwait.
America is in a like, it was bad before. It was already very bad. It's shit now. It's fucking shit. They're in a shitty fucking position right now, bro. Holy.
About a month ago, if you didn't know that, and allegedly it's going to take months to repair, and it was one small strike. They don't have air defense. U.S. air defense is running low in the region. It's stretched wide and thin. But Marco Rubio's telling you, don't worry, they're losing a couple bucks. Hey, last time I checked, they're still replenishing missiles at a record rate.
They don't care.
So whatever little money they're making is going towards their military. Exactly what we don't need to be funded anymore. We gave them the greatest buffer period.
Yep.
And this is why I said in the beginning, I'm not for the war, but if you want to like take down Iran, you can't stop. You got to keep beating with the hammer.
Yep.
You got to hit the iron while it's hot. You got to keep going. You can't do it in doses. Like, that's not a country you can attack in doses. Not when Russia and China are back behind them, replenishing them.
It was up to the political class there, and I understand everybody there is sort of radical in some way, but if it was up to the people that actually like go to elections and wear the suits and you see on TV, they'd probably make a deal tomorrow. It's the issue they're facing is that the supreme leader and the IRGC Corps are a little bit more immune from those pressures until they can be convinced otherwise, and I think that's the direction that they're moving in, because the reality, I don't know where you're getting this perception that Iran is stronger. Iran has no navy left. They've lost a
It doesn't matter, bruv. The fact that they're holding you by the balls shows that they're better right now. They're in a better position. The Strait of Hormuz is closed. If you attack them, they attack the whole countries around them. It creates a global pandemic, a global problem. You fucking idiot. Like, it's incredible how people... Like, how the fuck are you in politics? How the fuck don't you have this fucking brain that doesn't understand what the fuck is going on? I'm not in politics, I don't understand this shit.
Substantial percentage of their defense industrial base, that Iran has lost a substantial percentage of their missile launchers, and their economy is...
I'm gonna leave this here. U.S. intelligence shows Iran retains substantial missile capabilities. By the way, this is as of May 12th, 2026. The Trump administration's public portrayal of a shattered Iranian military is sharply at odds with what U.S. intelligence agencies are telling policymakers behind closed doors. Simple translation, Trump is lying.
Of course
So
he
our
is.
competitors tonight, Tanayan Marcus, who has proven to be an incredibly fast typist, 110 words per minute.
It's far worse today, and I mean far worse today
This guy
than it
is
was
an
6 to
idiot.
9 months ago. And they are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of reconstruction costs just to get to where they were 6
Mr.
months
Rubio,
ago.
you keep telling us how we're winning this war. The president keeps saying,
Well, the war's over
completely
now.
annihilated. The war is not over.
The war's
And yet
not
the
over, by the
American
way.
people-
Yeah, you're in a ceasefire, and because of the ceasefire, Iran is getting stronger now. You're being... What do you mean the war is over? What do you mean the war is
see
over?
how we're losing at the pump and with their costs, and yet this thing still hasn't been resolved.
Oh,
Every
okay, I
day
thought
he
it was me.
tweets out, oh, we've obliterated them, we've annihilated them, they're going to surrender. But yet we still find ourselves spending billions of dollars a week
Yeah, Senator
on a war
Booker,
abroad.
you've gone way over, and
It would be nice if we had hearings where people.
Thank
had
you,
to be held
Senator
accountable.
Booker. Senator Scott. All right.
Let's get more of this.
This is
Ooh.
good. This is good.
Representing CT? Guys, I'm not a Democrat. Please, guys, I'm not a Democrat. But Chris Murphy is obviously a Democratic senator out of the state of Connecticut.
Bro,
we'll
it's
see
getting
what he
good. It's
said.
being good.
This is today,
Being good.
right?
For us to
Yeah.
understand what your bottom lines are, what you're asking for in this negotiation, what commitments you need Iran to make in order for you to release the blockade, and we hope for them to release the blockade as well. So give us a little insight into what your bottom lines are, what is going to get the strait reopened, because this is kind of the only question that matters for American consumers right now. And every day we get wildly different signals from the president as to whether he even is engaged in this question as to whether the strait is going to reopen.
Yeah, I think you're...
And people say, Riyadh, you try to fight with the left all the time. You're too much of a deunifier. What's the word? I don't know. I can't find the word right now. You're causing all this chaos. It's like, bro, I'm literally blazing Chris Murphy right now.
question gets right to the heart of the matter. So I think it's a good question. Let me first bifurcate two things. The only reason there's a blockade, the only reason why there's a U.S. blockade is because Iran has closed they're firing on commercial.
Bro, The close was open. Bro. Literally the strait was open. For some fucking reason, you all decided to put the boats there. That's retarded. You give them a reason to make it closed again. That's stupid. It makes no sense.
Ships. And they've mined large sections of Hormuz international waters.
What the fuck?
And so the blockade is only against Iranian ships. And it's very simple. The notion is...
It's not. It's clearly not, because you've raided oil ships. Trump has tweeted with confidence and ego saying that, yeah, we managed to get a boat. Bruv, like what are you on about?
If no one's ships are...
By the way, there have been reports earlier last month
Like,
that
what
like
the
34
fuck?
Iranian vessels still got through the blockade anyways. Who knows
And
how
then there's this. Boats still go through.
true that is, but it's just food for thought.
Are going to get out, then Iran ships aren't going to get out either. We can't live in a world in which they get to close the straits and tell everybody, pay us a toll or we'll blow you up, but their ships get to go out unfettered. So that's the reason why there's a blockade. There wouldn't have been a blockade if Iran had agreed to do what they said they would do when the ceasefire kicked in, which is they were going to open the straits. So let me just focus on the straits for a moment.
Bro, this
Number one,
Marco
what they're
Rubio
doing
is
is
fucking
unlawful
idiot.
and illegal. There isn't a country on earth other than Iran and maybe Oman that flirts
Bombing them out of nowhere was totally lawful and legal, though, right?
Yeah, that's what I'd say.
I mean, it takes two to tango.
with it, who's in favor of what Iran is doing in the Straits. The Chinese are against it. The Russians are against it. Everyone is against it. The whole world is against it. So condition number one is...
Hey,
bro.
Okay. Just casually skipping over the fact that those same countries and a large majority of the world also condemned the U.S.-Israeli joint strikes on February 28th against Iran, too. You going to talk about that?
Yeah, I was about to say, they condemn you. They're against, they're not like agreeing what Iran is doing, but they're more actually pissed at you and Israel because it's because of what both of you countries did. That's why they're doing what they're doing. We're pissed at Iran because they closed the strait. Yes, we agree. But we're more pissed at you because it's because of you that they're doing this.
Reopen the straits. And reopening the straits means the following. Ships can sail through international waters the way they can do through other choke points around the world without being fired upon, without paying a toll. That's condition number one.
But the strait is closed because of our decision to invade Iran. This is a consequence of our military action. So I guess I'm not interested in litigating that question. We all know why the strait is closed.
That's the thing. Like, you cannot say, bro, the strait's closed because you decide to attack them, bruv. If you didn't, it wouldn't be closed. Simple as that.
Because you took
Like,
military
it's
action
simple-
against
like, it's
Iran,
very
and
simple.
we knew ahead of time that that would be their likely response. The question is...
Hey, Chris.
And there you go.
Good point. Let me stop.
They knew about it. They knew they're gonna do this. So they still decided to attack. That's stupidity. That's fucking stupidity.
Implement that. Iran is also not nearly as capable as the United States when it comes to their military. Obviously.
That's for sure, yeah.
So, are they going to fight us back?
No.
What I will admit is a war of attrition.
Yes,
a war of attrition.
indirectly, more
Are
like
they going to fight us back like that for months and months and months? Or are they going to say, you know what, let's block this body of water and make it economically painful for the United States?
There you go.
This is asymmetric warfare.
Simple.
This
It's a
is
weapon
like
against
the
America.
Bin
There you go,
Laden
done.
playbook, by the way. Like when we invaded in 2003,
Everybody knew
Bin
this
Laden
was gonna happen.
salivating over it because he wanted to make it an economic disaster for the United States so he could highlight how the Israeli lobby controls the U.S. government. That was his main goal. Do you know that? Did you know that? That was his long-term goal. He wrote a letter to America saying that it was declassified a few years ago, but just looking at the war on terror, Bin Laden and the Soviet Union against the Soviet Union by CIA funded and the CIA backed groups in the 80s, going into the 90s, looking at how he was upset about the right of self-determination in the Middle East, Bin Laden's long-term goal was, I want to expose the Zionist control inside of the United States. No better way to do it than to provoke them and drag them into a forever war in Iraq because it's not going to be a 3 or 4 day conflict. And that's exactly what it was. So we're falling for the same trick. That's why I say the parallels to the Iraq war are there in some way.
If you are listening to this cylinder, I am no longer in this world.
We don't care.
How are we going to get it reopened? Are you going to drive a bargain that is so tough and so hard that the strait remains closed. So how are we going to get it open?
The first thing, that is a predicate to anything else happening. The straits have to be reopened. So the way to think about it is this. If Iran wants to be able to move its oil again through the strait, they will have to reopen the straits. If they refuse to do so, then we have other options available to us, but we would prefer to negotiate the opening of this, which
Okay, so
means
tell us about the negotiations. What do you need from them in order to get the
He
strait?
also completely avoided the question
He avoids the question, yeah.
that the senator originally asked, or really the point that he imposed, which was you started the war, so that's why they did that.
Strait reopened. We need the strait reopened tomorrow.
Well, what?
Red Pill Clipper, member for 2 months, bro. Shout out to you, man. He says W Riyadh, WU. Thank you for the support.
Needs to happen is very simple. They need to announce that they will no longer fire on commercial ships that are going through or threaten to fire on ships, because in many cases, ships just won't move. They won't go, not because they got fired on, but because of the risk of being fired upon. And so they have to announce very clearly, the straits are now open. We're not charging a toll. We will help remove the mines that they put in there, and they will not fire on ships.
But the president says they also need to make commitments on their nuclear program. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
What commitments do they need to make in order for the strait to be reopened?
Well, the second thing they have to agree to as part of this is, so in addition to the straits, that's the predicate that opens the door to phase two. Phase two is they have to commit to very specific negotiations on highly enriched, the disposition of the highly enriched uranium that still is buried deep in a mountain somewhere. They have to agree on negotiating severe and long-term limitations and or cancellation of enrichment activity in their country.
In the second phase of negotiations.
Well, that would, obviously, these are highly technical matters, so I don't think you could work those out in 5 days. That would require a team of experts to meet over a 30, 60, 90-day period and work out the details. But they have to commit.
Oh, you're back. So you wanna, okay. No, so you're back, bro. We're looking at some politics, bro. It's funny because they're finally putting these Zionists to the test, at least for the first time. I'm looking how people asking the questions, how they're putting them in tough spots, and they're actually doing it for once, and it's good. It's good. It's very good. So I'm actually enjoying this. They're putting this fucking guy in the tough spot, Marco Rubio, Secretary of State. They're putting him in a tough spot. That's good. That's good.
Yeah, but the groundwork isn't there. That's the problem. Okay, you got experts. You send your delegation out. You send JD Vance out. What the fuck, nigga? What's JD Vance about to do?
This is gonna do
you send this expert team out. Expert negotiators. Bro, the framework is cooked.
To their willingness to do that. For example, they have to commit to say, we will dispose of the enriched uranium, and the question now is, what are the mechanisms by which we do so? That can be negotiated.
Final question. In order to get to that second phase, are you willing to release sanctions or release frozen money that the United States is withholding from Iran?
Right now, everything that's been discussed with...
Bro, so you want them to give you everything you want, but they get nothing in return. That's not negotiating, that's demanding shit.
This is what you do.
First of all,
this is what you do.
bruh.
First of all, you control Israel. You tell Bibi Netanyahu, stop attacking Lebanon. Get Bibi Netanyahu to promise he will stop attacking Lebanon. Once
I don't
that
think
is
promising
done,
is going to
and
do
we're
anything.
sure
but,
about it after we've seen peace for a couple weeks, you release a naval blockade. You release the naval blockade because you don't just let go of all of your assets or points of leverage at the same time. You do it slowly, one by one. So you tell Benjamin Netanyahu, no more war in Lebanon. You control him. Once you control him, you release the naval blockade. At that point, the ball is in Iran's court, and it's on them to release the Strait of Hormuz. If they don't do it, then they're the ones who are liable for actually blocking the strait. But it all starts with Israel, right? But we do need to release that naval blockade because we did that after the blockade. And the only reason they did that is because we're not being or actually operating in good faith. You know, it's copium.
Yeah,
obviously, them blocking the strait hurts us. We're trying to act like it doesn't. All right, then why are we blocking it?
Is that any sanctions relief? Now remember, sanctions come, there's international sanctions, there's congressional sanctions, there's executive sanctions. So some we can release and some we cannot. But any sanctions relief is condition-based, which means it has to be in return for the reason why those sanctions were put in place in the first place, which is their nuclear program. So yeah, look, Iran is being sanctioned because they enrich uranium. Iran is being sanctioned because they've highly enriched uranium. Iran is being sanctioned because of their nuclear activities.
Now, Iran is being sanctioned because certain people lobbied for Trump to win in 2016 and he pulled out of the JCPOA, and that's when the sanctions started. Then we killed all of their military leadership, and now we're at war with them. That's why they're sanctioned, because Israel doesn't like them to have power in the Middle East.
If they agree to give up those things,
There's
there
nothing
will
to
be
do
sanctions
about that.
released.
They're not
Yeah,
sanctioned
yeah,
for
yeah.
nukes that can't even reach the United States. They don't have intercontinental missiles. All of their missiles are mid-range.
Associated with
Right.
their commitment and
This
compliance.
guy is
will
a
not give
fucking
those agreements
Zionist. You can see.
It's like taking candy from a baby listening to this stuff. It's all the
Strait of
same.
Hormuz.
It's all the same garbage slop buffoonery.
Oh, thank you for the kicks. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I mean, I could react to a Rubio baking session all
Rubio,
day
bro. That was
long.
funny as shit.
Then
That was funny shit,
CENTCOM
bro.
commander and
He's in
And
a
by the way,
corner.
the
You can
Discord
see
channel,
he's
I
in a
see you
corner.
guys sent some clips for me to react to.
Secretary of Defense Jim Mattis's famous quote about the importance of funding our foreign policy apparatus. In 2013, in response to a question from the now chairman of SASC, General Mattis pointed out that if you don't find, and I quote him, if you don't fund the State Department fully, then I need to buy more ammunition ultimately, end quote. Unfortunately, despite his service in the first Trump administration, the second time around, you seem to have taken the message as a blueprint rather than as a warning. The budget that you're presenting today cuts the State Department by about a third, after you previously tried to enact steep cuts and eliminations last year, many of which were already rebuked by Congress on a bipartisan basis. Paul.
Lady, get on with the question. God
Jesus
damn.
Christ.
I can't speak to the Department of War. Would have to speak to you about the money
Why
and
is
what they
it-
calculate
She just cooked him.
for the costs. I can't give you an accurate answer on that because that's
Okay.
not the thing that I look
She
at.
talked a
I
lot,
would think
but-
you would have some insight because you are our national security.
Well, I've seen the
also.
testimony that Secretary Hegseth and others have conducted in front of their oversight committees, but I just can't. I don't want to give you an answer that's not accurate.
Okay.
so.
He knows.
Bro, you
Well, this
know,
week,
bro.
let me put out some numbers that I have. This week, the cost of President Trump's illegal war of choice against Iran are likely to balloon past $35 billion.
35 billion, bruv. What the fuck? What the fuck?
By the rate from DoD's own May calculations, and surpass your FY 2027 budget request of $35.1 billion for the State Department and related programs. That's an astonishing figure. Worth repeating, in just 14 weeks.
In 14 weeks, 35 billion, bruv. Hey, bro, what the fuck? What the fuck?
14 weeks, President Trump will have blown through as much, if not more, money in Iran than he thinks Congress should spend on U.S. diplomacy for the entirety of the next fiscal year.
Brutal. Talk about America first, right?
American
This
first.
administration's distorted priorities have unfortunately revealed some stark lessons for our allies and partners as well. The United States' use of force first will make them less secure as they'll be caught in the crossfire, left scrambling to protect themselves and their people.
Also, Taiwan, first island chain, munitions cut in half.
What the fuck? Okay, bro. Okay, bro. What the
Secretary,
fuck
do you
is that?
agree that
ad?
under
How is
Operation
that an
Epic Fury,
up-and?
our allies and partners in the region have expressed concern about
So
their
dumb.
security and the threats that followed from this administration's uncoordinated actions?
No, I think our allies in the region have been very cooperative. Some obviously very aggressively cooperative, like the.
Bro, there's so many people who are fucking tired of Israel and America because of what you're doing. What are you on about? It's true that there are like 1 or 2 people that are actually with you, but the rest are fucking. They're done with this shit.
UAE as an example. Kuwait's been fantastic. Obviously, no country likes to have their oil and their energy infrastructure hit, but I think it's a reminder to them of the threat that Iran poses. And the one lesson when this is all said.
That's so up to say. That's so messed up to say. Listen to this again.
Cooperative like the.
Allies and partners
me
from
get this
this
back to where it
administration's
was.
uncoordinated
Listen to his answer.
actions.
Pay attention.
No, I think our allies in the region have been very cooperative. Some obviously very aggressively cooperative, like the UAE as an example. Kuwait's been fantastic. Obviously, no country likes to have their oil and their energy infrastructure hit, but I think it's a reminder to them of the threat that Iran poses. And the one lesson when this is all said and done is it's reminded them of, you know, despite all the friendly talk that you've seen in the past, how dangerous Iran is to their own interests, how the.
You're the one who actually caused the problem, and you're saying that Iran are the fucking problem. This is scary, by the way. The fact that they are willing to be pieces of shit, lie to everybody, and brainwash and manipulate everyone, and believing this shit. All the countries are in the Middle East, they're against Iran. It's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. That's so dumb. I understand they attacked you, but they are attacking you? You know why? Because Israel and America decided to attack them first for no reason. That's the reason. You need to remember that. It's not because of Iran, it's because of America and Israel.
You know,
Bruh,
it's like, that's gross.
some bullshit.
That's
bro.
really hitting low.
Pieces
That
of
is
shit.
hitting below the crotch. Like, you know, the reason, and I know I'm being Captain Obvious here. Hey, you ever think the reason why the Gulf countries were attacked is because you attacked Iran and your bases are in the Gulf countries? They're not killing civilians in the Gulf countries. They're hitting your military infrastructure that you put in those countries and plant on the basis of protection, which it is not doing.
Not
It is
at
not
all.
offering
Yeah.
that protection.
No protection at all.
In which that's why it exists, for that very reason. And then so you say, well, now I'm happy that all the Gulf allies can see they are neighboring against this crazy terroristic regime. It's like, no, actually, the regime never bothered them, ever threatened them, ever struck them.
Yeah, they never did anything. They legit never did anything. It's like they were always at peace with everybody. The problem is America and Israel decide to attack them. It's really the problem.
Until you forced them to do so because you were trying to eradicate their regime, send them back to the Stone Age, and hit their power plants and energy infrastructure.
Like, bro.
So, realistically, is it the fact that they've woken up to Iran being a terroristic entity? Maybe there's some semblance of that. But really what they know is that the United States is controlled by Israel, and so long as that happens, they are going to fight Iran. So long as they fight Iran, their bases exist on our soil, and we will be subject to military attack. So, yeah, we may have to lock arms with the United States for the greater good of our desalination plants not getting hit. Even though, ultimately, it goes against our interests, our hands are tied behind our back. That's what it really is. That's the situation unfolded in the Middle East.
Millions of dollars Iran has spent despite sanctions. Iran found the money to build drones and rockets. And luckily we've taken a lot of them out, but they still have some and they still have the ability to
My question is about
Some, they got a whole lot, buddy.
Some.
They don't got some, they got a lot.
Bro, they're at 120%. They actually managed to replenish all the fucking, pretty much all the missiles that they've lost and they've used in the war before the fucking ceasefire. They're at the all-time high. What are you on about?
our allies in the region expressing concerns because, you see, public reporting in early May revealed that Saudi Arabia denied U.S. basing and overflight related to Trump's ill-conceived plan to escort ships through the Straits of Hormuz, and they're still not.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Of course.
Saudi Arabia and Kuwait told Donald Trump, per
To fuck
Operation
off.
Freedom, they
Fuck
can't
off.
use his own airbase on their soil or their
Fuck
airspace
off.
to help in the operation. Get this. This was
Fuck
really
off.
juicy.
They
I loved
immediately
when
said
this
fuck
happened.
off.
This was like so tasty. Hold on.
They knew if
Saudi
they're gonna
Arabia
accept this, there's gonna be a problem.
Airspace.
Immediately, bro. They knew about it.
Operation Freedom. Typing like a boomer right now. Freedom. It's so yummy. It's like, look at this.
Bro, they're fucking them up. They're fucking Marco Rubio up.
Trump's abrupt U-turn on a plan to reopen the Strait of Hormuz came after backlash from allies. Get a load of this. Get a load of this. So this here reads, Trump surprised Gulf allies by announcing Project Freedom on social media Sunday afternoon, the official said, angering leadership in Saudi Arabia in response. Remember, this was May 6th, so about a month ago. In response, the kingdom informed the U.S. it would not allow the U.S. military to fly aircraft from Prince Sultan Air Base southeast of Riyadh or fly through Saudi airspace to support the effort, the official said. A call between Trump and Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman did not resolve the issue, the two U.S. officials said, forcing the president to pause Project Freedom in order to restore U.S. military access to the critical airspace. Would you look at that? And by the way, that's the same airbase that got hit during the midst of the Iran war around March, and they destroyed our AWACS systems, which are critical radar systems that hover the air in the Middle East, giving us more intel than we would have had prior. And Iran had hit Prince Sultan Air Base, which is about 2 hours southeast of Riyadh, the capital. And they're hitting that close to home, hitting that close to the capital of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh, which is, by the way, a hub for tourism. They make a lot of money on that city. You have Mecca and Medina. They obviously are custodians of the holy mosques. That is way westward of Saudi Arabia, closer to the Red Sea. But then you obviously have Riyadh, which is eastward, much closer to the Persian Gulf, much closer to Iran, And just a little bit southeast of that, I think about a 2-hour drive, is Prince Sultan Air Base, which got hit by Iranian missiles and drones. And as a result, destroyed tons of critical U.S. military infrastructure that was already running low. And so now Donald Trump is saying, we're going to use that same air base and guide ships out of the Strait of Hormuz in Operation Freedom.
That's so dumb. That's stupid.
All of these naval carriers and stuff will guide the oil vessels out. Don't worry, we're going to come in and save the day.
No, you didn't.
Kuwait and Saudi Arabia said, no, you're not. Because if you use the air bases on our land to do that,
they are going to be attacked.
Bomb us to shit like they've been doing since the beginning of March.
Yep.
And what happened? We had to pull out of the deal. That right there, real time, is the United States losing influence in our ability to flex our muscles in the Middle East and use these countries in the Gulf as buffer states. Right in front of you, it's unfolding. Small but very significant developments that are foretelling of a different multipolar future in the Middle East. So,
why do we have a bunch of fucking ads this time? That is dog shit. We didn't have this shit before. Dog shit. We don't care. Go back to kitchen.
Juicy stuff there.
Not supportive of this risky tanker escort plan, and the Strait is still worse off today than it was before Trump initiated this war. And that doesn't even touch on the wider global lessons being learned by our allies and partners.
Yeah, we don't face any...
From the Shangri-La dialogue, where I heard from folks across the Indo-Pacific, and especially in Southeast Asia, who are being hit hard by the same rising energy costs that are devastating American communities. And frankly, this administration insists on using military force as a first resort instead of a last resort, no matter the deadly cost of self-defeating impacts. Your budget request here would sadly perpetuate that trend and undermine the roles and responsibilities that you should be fulfilling as Secretary of State. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back.
Okay, I didn't get to answer any of that.
I didn't answer the question.
Bro, it doesn't look like they care about your answer, bro. You fucked up. Trump fucked up. There's nothing else to say. Bro, that whole segment just showed that they fucked up. Like, bro.
Well, she didn't answer the question. She doesn't want me to answer? Can I answer anyway?
You may.
Okay. Well, but she made a bunch of points. I get to answer them, right? First of all, I don't understand this thing. Let me tell you. We were just here. Maybe you weren't here. We were just talking about it. We did a peace deal with Azerbaijan and Armenia. We just signed the TRIP agreement yesterday, actually, or last week. We signed it. Last night I officialized it. That was diplomacy.
Are we dead ass? All right. Not to be a dickhead here, be uncharitable. Who cares, bro? Really?
I was about to say, what is like what? What does that has to? This is why we keep saying that America's cooked. What does that has to do with anything? Like, that's stupid.
Really?
Right, but the Trump
You start a war in Iran and then you say, but Azerbaijan and Armenia.
Administration is still blown through.
When do I get to talk to you? Do I get to talk to this entire?
No, you don't get to talk.
No, you don't.
No,
after you fucked up this hard. No.
Senator Duckworth.
You wait.
Senator Duckworth, I'm going to let Senator Rubio reply to the statements that you made at his request.
Yeah, who would not be pissed about this?
Hard stop at 12:30.
Okay, but I know, but you said a lot of stuff. I get to answer some of it. All right. So the first is the second is India-Pakistan. We ended that war. We were involved in helping broker that. Thailand, Cambodia. That's diplomacy. We've been very engaged in fact, as I sit here.
Yeah, but it has nothing to do with what's going on in fucking Iran, idiot. What does that have to do with Iran? What does that has to fucking do with Iran? Well, congrats, you know how to do policy. But clearly, instead of doing policy correctly with Iran, you decided to attack them like an idiot. Like what? Like what the fuck?
We're now speaking to you. I've got the Lebanese government and the Israeli government meeting at the State Department starting at 8:30 this morning for the 4th time after engaging last week at the military level.
That's embarrassing. That's not a flex. They've had to meet 4 times since the war started for some sort of peace, and Israel keeps breaking the peace deal. What are you talking about? This just displays you can't control Israel. You're the United States. The president of the United States should be able to only have to tell a country once to stop its military campaign, and that should be it. That's it. Done. Full stop. There should be no further conversation. You got to yell at Bibi Netanyahu, beg him on the phone to stop because the strait needs to be opened up, even though you're saying it doesn't.
I accidentally hit the button here.
We got no control over shit.
So we're carrying out now. We're carrying out
You're attempting diplomacy, but it's not working because you
It's not
cannot
working.
control Israel.
diplomacy
Israel.
all over the world constantly and very successfully.
But
in
it
many
has
cases.
nothing to do with
now, let me
Iran,
make
you
one more point that you raise about the budget request. Guys, we understand how this process works, okay? You guys understand. I know because I've been involved all the time. We OMB produces sort of timelines for every agency. We put forward a budget. We say, this is the money we've been allocated. This is how we would spend it. There is a congressional process, which I'm sure you're aware of. And in my time here, 16 years that I was here, I don't ever recall us once ever taking the president's budget and passing it into law. I'm not walking away
Yo, he does have very large ears.
from the budget. We can make it work if that's the
Okay, that's pretty funny. That is true.
budget you give us. But I have a sense, I have a suspicion, right, Senator Schatz, that we're going to have to work with you, Schatz, that we're going to have to, well, you know, that we're going to have to work with you guys on a budget request that meets your priorities and ours. That's how it works. You guys are the appropriators. We have to work within we will tell you what we care about. We will tell you how we're going to spend the money. But ultimately, you will provide us a spending bill, and we will work through those parameters. But we have given you what we can live with. We can make it work. But if you wanted, you know, if you're obviously going to have changes here in the Congress. But this stuff about diplomacy and the money spent on the war, diplomacy's always costs less money. We don't buy missiles. We don't buy rockets. We don't buy large airplanes and aircraft carriers. But we've been very effective. And I can give you list after list of places where we have had an impact in either de-escalating.
Yeah, but bro, the fact that you can't even go to diplomacy with Iran because of Israel just shows that you're weak as shit. What is, like, it doesn't matter the other fucking countries. You're showing weakness and you're not even that. You clearly cannot go to diplomacy because of the Israel and Zionism. Like, bro, you cannot just go past that shit. You can't. You just straight up can't.
Crisis before it started, or ending active wars. And I'm very proud of the work that we've done in that regard.
Yeah, even if there was truth to that, let's just say that's true. Grant him that fact. Doesn't negate starting a war in Iran was a huge mistake.
Yeah, it was
which
stupid.
haven't been publicly discussed in some cases because they weren't high profile. And my last point.
And you destroyed diplomacy with Iran by tarnishing the JCPOA,
Yeah, many
which would have
times,
been
yep.
significantly cheaper than bombing them for several months and spending billions of dollars and increasing gas prices across the United States.
We remain heavily
and choking Asia and Europe into an eventual oil shortage.
engaged in areas that may be not at the core
Pretty
of our
much.
national interests, but nonetheless are related to our national interests. You think about Sudan for a moment and the Quad. This has been a very frustrating situation to put together, but we helped convene a donor conference that got pledges for when that is.
Yeah, but the issue in Sudan is difficult for you guys to resolve, even though Trump doesn't seem to be worried about that until Mohammed bin Salman a few months ago actually reminded him to worry about the issue in Sudan, because obviously the UAE is all over it, supporting the RSF. So it's like we got to call out who's liable here. We got to call out the guilty parties. We have war in Iran because Israel can't stop bombing Lebanon. It's persisting in Iran, rather, I should say, because we can't stop bombing Lebanon, or Israel can't stop bombing Lebanon. And then the war in Sudan rages on, and it kind of gets better, then it gets back, it gets better, then it regresses, and it's because the UAE is relentless.
Is resolved. We've put a lot of time and energy in a situation that now unfortunately has turned into a proxy in the Middle East because of the UAE and the Saudis on opposite sides of it. In Libya, where our work in Libya now it's still divided, but they for the first time ever have a joint budget. For the first time ever are cooperating on energy deals that are going to be beneficial to the people of Libya. So I just don't think it's fair to say we're not actively involved in diplomacy on last year's budget and spending, because we are, and we have been, and to great success.
Thank you.
Support journalism. Yeah, so tons of copium.
Yeah,
but anyways,
copium, yeah. That's true. On the next one, another one. You're fucking crazy. Trump fuse at Netanyahu in call on Lebanon. Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed?
As to what's going on in Lebanon, so you can understand
So,
Trump's frustration,
this
why
guy,
Trump is so
bro.
angry, I guess, right?
This guy.
So let's take a look at this.
While 50,000 U.S. troops in the Middle East wait for what's next, it keeps fighting. Today, its forces expanded its invasion of Lebanon.
This is
CBS's
stupid.
MTS Tayeb at our London bureau.
That's so this is unforgivable. What the fuck? What the fuck was that?
And I guess we'll watch.
While 50,000
Why the fuck did I end the video? Okay, that was weird. And again, it's unforgivable. How the fuck a United States of America, the greatest power in the world, cannot control Israel on attacking Lebanon, uniting Lebanon with Israel, and becoming a greater Israel? How? It shows how much power they have over the politics in America. It just shows that. I'm sorry. It straight up just shows that shit.
U.S. troops in the Middle East wait for what's next. It keeps fighting. Today, its forces expanded its invasion of Lebanon.
They shouldn't invade,
CBS's
and
MTS
America's
Tayeb
letting them
London
do
Bureau
it. They're
has
letting
the
them
very
do it.
latest. MTS.
So dumb.
Jarika, good evening. Well, we're still waiting.
Wait, I just noticed. Why in Asia says London? Wait, do you? What the fuck? Okay, that's weird.
Hear from Iran as to whether it will accept the president's changes to the Memorandum of Understanding, but trust between Washington and Tehran is at an all-time low. Widening offensive in Lebanon is only complicating matters.
The last time an Israeli flag was raised over this Crusader-era castle was more than a quarter of a century ago. 9 miles from border, the capture of Beaufort Castle in southern Lebanon follows days of intense fighting between forces and Iran-backed Hezbollah. Since March, more than 1 million people have been displaced. And
look at this, bro.
Congrats!
Are you kidding me?
Congrats, America!
All for the eradication of.
Congrats, America! Congrats, Israel! Congrats! This is what you wanted. Congrats! Look at this. It's beautiful. Congrats! Look at the problems you're creating. Congrats, bro. Congrats. This is what you wanted, America. This is what you wanted, Israel. Bro. How the fuck are we not sanctioning these pieces of shit? How? How? Look at this. People moving because they have to move. They have to lose what they have. They have nothing. People are dying. Not just that, they're losing their country. Bro, they're losing everything.
Hezbollah, really? Like, Hezbollah only ramped up its attacks against it because it was attacking Iran and it killed the supreme leader. And obviously Iran, Hezbollah is like the same thing. It's all operating under one entity, the axis of resistance. And as a result, all these people are displaced from their homes. So really, I mean it. Prayers for Lebanon, you know?
Yeah.
Prayers for Lebanon. 1 million people have been displaced.
Let's hope this stops.
350 have been killed in Lebanon, according to the Lebanese Ministry of Health, despite a nominal ceasefire put in place last month. Northern communities also remain largely evacuated. In a video tonight, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his aim was to deepen and expand our grip on the places that were under Hezbollah's control. Just how much further it intends to expand its military operations in Lebanon is unclear. But it comes as Washington and Tehran inch towards agreeing a memorandum of understanding to reopen.
Interesting timing.
Open the Strait of Hormuz, begin intense
Fuck
negotiations
Israel,
to end the
bro.
war,
Fuck them.
and deal with thornier issues
Pieces of
like
shit.
Iran's nuclear material. Still, for
Bro.
Tehran, a key demand for talks is for the fighting in Lebanon to end. Michael Oren is a former ambassador to the U.S.
We also understand that Mr. Netanyahu is not deeply involved in the negotiations that are being mediated by Pakistan. Why not?
I don't know if the president feels that he can't achieve all of those goals. He has pressures on him internally, certainly political pressures as the midterms approach. He has economic pressures as the price of gas continues to rise. A different set of priorities.
And in a recent Truth Social post, President Trump said Iran must agree to never have a nuclear weapon and reopen the Strait of Hormuz with no tolls, but made no mention of Lebanon, Jarika, as the fighting there only intensifies.
All right, MTS Tayeb.
So yeah, that's that. And you know, now they're targeting
this is so bad.
This city, and they're really telling all the residents south
They're
of the Zahrani
literally
River in
obliterating Lebanon
evacuate.
from
They're gonna
existence.
target Nabatea,
So it doesn't
or
exist anymore in the
Nabatea
maps.
Arabic, whatever it is,
at all.
And
America,
this is a symbolic symbol of
congrats.
resistance, you know, or
Thank you for
symbolic
doing this dog
city of
shit that you
resistance.
decide to do.
And has always
Thank you,
been
bro.
the front line for aggression ever
Thank you.
since the early 2000s.
Thank
and
you,
so
bro.
it has their eyes obviously on this in southern Beirut. And that's talked about over here.
Is now under occupation, a fifth of the entire country controlled by an invading power. How did this happen? Well, war broke out between Israel and Hezbollah in October 2023.
How can we be on the fucking siders and let this shit fucking happen? Bro, I see this shit, I'm like, why are we helping them? Just by giving them airspace authority to be able to use our airspace, it's already giving them a support. Bro, I'm so pissed off, bro. Looking at this shit.
Troops invaded. A ceasefire agreement came into effect in November 2024, which was meant to see Israeli troops withdraw and Hezbollah fighters move north of the Litani River. But Israel said Hezbollah had not fully moved back, so Israel literally kept demolishing entire villages in southern Lebanon, causing massive displacement. Then, in March this year, things really intensified, and Israel's U.S. strike killed Iran's supreme leader, and Hezbollah struck Israel in retaliation. Then Israel began intense strikes, and in April established a yellow line asserting a so-called security zone, 10 kilometers deep into Lebanon. Now, forces have crossed the Litani River and seized territory to the north for the first time.
They're almost at half of Lebanon. Or they're pretty much there. How are you letting this happen? This is unforgivable. They're conquering another country. They're legit creating to create Israel. The plan has started clearly. You can clearly see it. By conquering Lebanon, bruv. How are you letting this shit happen?
Since 2006, troops captured the historic Bawa.
I cannot believe what I'm looking at.
I know I'm always saying this is a big deal. That's a big deal.
This is a big deal, bro.
This is a level of aggression that shows me no other sign other than the fact
it shows that Israel they're not here in good faith.
Is now in a full-scale mission to annex southern Lebanon and take over everything south of the Litani River. This is the farthest they've ever gone. And they just now took control of the Belfort Castle, which is also a symbolic area of resistance, and it was the last place that the IDF had pulled out from in 2000. And so in the last 26 years, they had not had this much control. And this is the worst.
How are we letting this shit fucking happen, bro? That's what pisses me off.
This is all happening amidst the ceasefire, and Iran knows this. And so for Iran, it's going to be very difficult to come to a deal. It's going to be very difficult to exercise diplomacy with the United States, if Lebanon is under the greatest offensive it has seen in recent history, especially if that means their proxy is at threat. And the casualties on the ground don't tell a lie either. There's about 3,400 IDF soldiers that are now KIA, and I believe for Hezbollah it's about 3,000, just a little bit north of 3,000. Several others injured, of course. And so they're at war, and this is like not getting the mainstream coverage that it should. And that's why Trump is telling Netanyahu that you're
Welkom bij Spot Alles, een 20 seconden kookshow.
Shut the fuck up, you gay cunt.
And I guess
like, Jesus Christ, bro.
A deal. It's going to be very difficult to exercise diplomacy with the United States, if Lebanon is under the greatest offensive it has seen in recent history, especially if that means their proxy is at threat. And the casualties on the ground don't tell a lie.
Fucking unforgivable, bro.
There's about 3,400 IDF soldiers that are now
fucking happen.
KIA,
we see who the fuck is the enemy. We see who are the ones actually creating chaos everywhere. Everybody knows.
Injured, of course.
And we're letting this shit happen.
And so
unfucking forgivable.
And this is like not
should be ashamed not letting this shit happen.
Should. And that's why Trump is telling Netanyahu that you're crazy. So pay attention here. Don't let this slip over you. This is a big deal. Definitely a big deal.
Fort Castle on a mountain overlooking southern Lebanon. Forces previously held it from 1982 until they withdrew 18 years later.
And this is Benjamin Netanyahu talking, and for those of you listening, I'll go ahead and translate. He says, capture of the Belfort Castle is a dramatic stage, a dramatic shift in the policy that we are leading. We have broken the barrier of fear, and we are taking the initiative. I mean, look at the language. We have broken the barrier of fear and we are taking the initiative.
It just shows that they're the fucking problem.
It's over.
They just showed that they're the problem.
This is the thing. They're in too deep. They've like gone too far to just pull out now and hang back. This is deep water. And so, you know, it's a matter of
this shit happen. How?
A grab at land, and there's desperation here. It has to act fast. If the United States signs a long-term peace deal or a long-term ceasefire longer than 2 or 3 months, 60 days, 90 days, whatever it is, of strikes, it's going to make it really, really hard for Israel to get what they need done in southern Lebanon. And the Iran war is the last great power that Israel has to face. The Iranians are the controllers of the axis of resistance, funding these proxy groups that keep Israel at bay from their long-term mission.
How can we be on the sidelines, seeing what's going on right now, letting these pieces of shit create chaos everywhere, destroying the economy of everyone, and not caring, and at the same time, they're conquering another country? It's unfucking forgivable. Shameful. This is shameful. We all should be shamed. Europe should actually fucking stop this fucking shit. But not letting them continue conquering, bro. What the fuck is this? What is this? It's unforgivable. They're wiping Lebanon out of fucking history.
Taking a larger portion of control or pushing borders back against their own country in southern Lebanon, Golan Heights, West Bank, Gaza, so on and so forth. It sees Iran as the last piece of the puzzle, the last person in the way. And so for them, it's imperative that while the United States is currently at war with Iran, they make the move now. Now is the perfect strategic time. There's no point in time in where it makes more sense for Israel to do it than now. Why? Iran's got their hands full. They're fighting the United States, and they're also fighting it. And so Hezbollah is not going to be the same Hezbollah that they were back in 2023 and 2024. Simultaneously, understanding that, you must also understand they possess the ability to interrupt any sort of peace deal being effectuated so long as they continue this war in southern Lebanon. Every single reason really exists for them to continue this war in southern Lebanon.
So simple. If they end up actually conquering Lebanon, they're probably gonna go for another country then. So the war keeps going, so they're gonna be able to create the greater Israel like they wanted to. That's pretty much what they're doing.
And so, you know, you think about everything at the same time. How are you letting this slip? No way they stop.
Cannot believe this.
No way they stop. People really think Donald Trump is gonna control Bibi?
No.
What, he's gonna have like a 4 or 5 day ceasefire? And then Trump brags about it on Truth Social, says they put their guns down. No, they didn't. And you've been saying this and they refuse to stop. So
unforgivable.
Has it never been more obvious that we have no control over the situation? I don't think it's ever been this obvious.
I'm so pissed, bro.
But,
seeing this shit happen.
You know, it is what it is.
Causing problems to everybody.
And in regards to the U.S.-Iran war, honestly, does anybody see this ending anytime soon?
Unfucking forgivable.
And the reason why is because we have no escalation.
That's why I keep saying, bro. It's time for the fucking Middle East to unite and stop this shit. They are the ones destroying all of you. Well, I don't understand. You're all saying that Iran. No, it's not Iran. It's Israel and America creating problems in your territory. They are the ones fucking everything up. Why don't you open your fucking eyes, guys? Come on. It's very obvious. Just follow the pattern of the facts, bro. It's very fucking obvious. Like, come on.
If we had escalation dominance, we could bring the conflict to a stage where
it's dumb.
We would have to make Iran bend the knee. But they're not bending the knee. They're actually starting strikes now. They're hurling drones into the Strait of Hormuz. And as a matter of fact, you'll see global oil tick up after that. And that's the power that Iran has, and they're dead.
Talking about the oil. I want to check these oil prices. Let's go. Since he's talking about the oil, let's go. How are we? Bro, we were at 105. We peaked at 96. We're at 91, which is still bad, by the way. And the way the graph is right now, it's probably gonna go up again, by the way, guys. It's probably gonna go up. So we're gonna be again. We're in this state where at the end of the week the price goes down, but in the beginning of the week, towards the middle of the week, goes back up immediately again. That's what's gonna happen. So oil price is gonna skyrocket.
Demonstrating that power. That's the most important thing. It's not that they're doing it. Maybe they
It's gonna
know
skyrocket
that
again.
these drones will be intercepted, but it's the fact that they have the wherewithal and the guts to actually deploy drones into the Strait of Hormuz or missiles or whatever else it is and disrupt these oil vessels that may actually intend to pass through. Whether that's through U.S. military aid, which was previously tried with Operation Freedom and failed on its face because Saudi and Kuwait said no, or anything else, Iran has control of the strait. That we know.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's
for
the
sure.
biggest fact on the ground right now as to why we can't get a ceasefire. Because we want the Strait of Hormuz open, but Iran actually wants a guarantee of no more war, not only in Iran, they want a guarantee we won't hit them again. They want their frozen assets given back to them, a lot of their money unpaused and given back to them. They are not going to agree to get rid of all of their nuclear enriched or their enriched uranium, their highly enriched uranium that is at about 60%. They're not going to get rid of it. They're not going to downblend it. They're not going to destroy their centrifuges. And they're also not going to come to some concession about a peace deal or a ceasefire if Lebanon keeps getting hit. Why? Because Lebanon is home base for their strongest proxy group in southern Lebanon, that being Hezbollah. And so currently, if you haven't been paying attention to my last few shows, Israel has ramped up its operation or its offensive against Hezbollah dramatically ever since March and really February when this all started, to the point now where they actually control territory that they had not had control of in the last 26 years. Like the Balfour Castle and everything really south of the Litani River has now become kind of this buffer zone, this IDF support zone, and so that they can continue their operation south of Beirut and anywhere else really. And so now Israel has launched statements to evacuate from where you currently are if you're in southern Lebanon. Lots of villages have been displaced. Lots of villages have been told that they must leave their homes, vacate the premises, and if they don't, they'll be hit with Israel airstrikes, something that we've seen several times
That's
before.
unforgivable, bro.
And so, like, it's just no possible way that we'll get.
And then they had the audacity to play the victim card from what happened in the Second World War. You're doing exactly the same thing that Mr. Mustache Man is doing. You're literally doing the same fucking thing. And you call them fascists? Call them fucking pieces of shit? You're doing the same shit. Tuh. Shameful.
Ceasefire.
You bring nastiness to the Jews. Nastiness. You're tarnishing the Jew culture. That's what you're fucking doing, Israel and Benjamin Netanyahu. That's what you're fucking doing.
People are always going, oh, maybe we're close, you know, the war is dragged on. It's like day 98. I believe it's really day 98. I'm not even kidding about that. We're about 100 days into war, and so you would think after all this limbo and stalemating and talks, we'll be able to reach some sort of agreement. But it's like, hey, Lebanon is a brand new feature that's introduced here. And remember, on April 8th, Israel hit Lebanon with 100 strikes.
And probably, if they're going to end up annexing Lebanon, they're probably going to go for another country, if I have to be honest. They don't want this to stop. So they're probably going to continue on the plan to create the greater Israel. That's what I think.
In the morning.
That's my prediction now.
And the death
That's
toll in
probably what's
Lebanon
going to
ever
happen.
since March 2nd, get this, is 3,500 people. These are non-combatants. And so the civilian death toll in Lebanon is also very high. That's considerably high if you take into the fact that Lebanon is not even directly involved in this war. Lebanon itself, the country, the entity of Lebanon. And obviously you have Hezbollah, but we can't keep doing this, oh, but Hezbollah, oh, but Hamas, Hezbollah, because then we have a Gaza genocide where 100,000 people die. And so you would think with the new integration of the United States military and Israeli military per Section 224, which we'll get into in a moment, and
That's
all of this
unforgivable.
advanced technology and Palantir and all these AI systems and these complicated drone systems that have been ramping up in technological advancement ever since the Ukrainian war, and that's the new style of warfare. You would think like Israel, of all people who have direct military support and direct funding from the United States, has the wherewithal and the ability to kill these Hezbollah militants without killing civilians in tandem. But
They
no,
do,
they can't
yeah.
do that. They bomb
could,
an
but they
entire
don't wanna
village.
do
They
it.
bomb an entire block if it means
They
killing
want to
one
destroy
insignificant
everything. They
commando.
want to destroy
That makes
everything
no difference
again.
in the grand scheme of things.
That's what they wanna
And
do.
It's symbolically to suggest that there's no red lines and they will stop at nothing to make sure they have control of southern Lebanon, because southern Lebanon is home base for Hezbollah. And if Hezbollah has an advantage, that vantage point really of southern Lebanon, everything south of the Litani River or even north of that, in that entire province and any municipality within southern Lebanon, well, they have so much more ability to deploy rockets at northern Israel, which is what we saw in the beginning of March and even mid-March. They have so much more ability to hold off the IDF. And the ultimate goal of Israel, obviously, everybody knows, is to take southern Lebanon at minimum, right? They want to annex that portion of land and make it their own. And they say it's so that they can defend their home country.
You're not defending, you're conquering. That's what you're doing.
And they're the smallest country, one of the smaller countries in the Middle East. But really, it's part of this larger project to really take over not only southern Lebanon, but
that's what you're doing. You're conquering.
And I've spoken about this several times before. Gaza, the West Bank. They want to annex these. The Sinai, they want it as well. That belongs to Egypt, and they'll probably get that at some point in the future. And I don't mean to be demoralizing or nihilistic or anything like that, but we have to really be real with ourselves. Israel is likely going to get these things. They're going to achieve these goals. Why? Because the United States backs them. It's that simple. It really doesn't get more complex than that. And as a result of their mission and their goals and how ambitious they've been met with fierce resistance, like Hezbollah, like Hamas, like any other groups in Iraq, maybe that belongs to the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, or our proxy groups of Iran. It's difficult.
This is a disappointment seeing this shit happen in front of our eyes, bro. And we do nothing about it.
Start this war with Iran
fucking
sooner than later. And the reason why is because during that 12-day war that we saw last summer, almost a year ago now, can you believe it? We launched, or really Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, and as a result, there was a 12-day war, and Iran was hitting Israel and Tel Aviv and several other places, I think Haifa as well, with their ballistic missiles. They showcased their ballistic missiles, some of them being hypersonic. The first time that Iran ever really showed the world what they were capable of from a military perspective in recent history. And so that kind of set off a lot of red alarms in Israel, and they went, wow, we have to actually take care of Iran before they bolster up and stockpile that missile arsenal any deeper or any further than it already is as it exists in Iran.
There you go.
And so Donald Trump stepped in, he hits the 3 nuclear sites in Natanz, Fordo, Isfahan. They paused the war, really stop it. But that was a guarantee that they were going to start the war back up and ensure that they can destroy Iran before they get too strong to where they couldn't deal with them anymore. You fast forward, and now we had the situation on February 28th. They brought Trump to actually agree and start the war in Iran. U.S.-Israeli joint strikes on February 28th, whatever. And this is the biggest goal for Israel. This is why I always rip on Trump, because this was the one red line that Trump could not cross. If he did it, he was going to give them everything he wanted, or everything they wanted, sorry. And what's the proof to that? What is Netanyahu now telling the world? What is he telling 60 Minutes? What's the idea that's vaguely but surely catching momentum now as I sit here and talk to you? It's this idea that Israel will be independent of the United States.
Yep.
And you really got to think about this. Israel is
they're trying to create a greater
country
Israel
because of the support of the United States.
That's what they're doing.
Obviously so.
It's
There's
very
no
fucking
secret
obvious.
there. But if they're saying that they don't want to depend on the United States anymore financially, and that's what Netanyahu said, he said he wants to draw down U.S. financial support to zero, well, then that leads one to believe, or at least think and speculate, well, what's Israel's plan without the United States backing them? I mean, they pose a moral hazard to us. They drag us into so many issues. And so for us, that's like a good thing. It's like, oh, wait, great. But it's like, no, you got to pay attention. They've got to have something set up in their system, in their plan, that will allow them to be strong without us. And if they're as strong as they are now without us, that's a threat. Because now they're no longer an ally, yet they retain the same capability. What are they going to be after that? I mean, let's not forget what Israel has done to us historically. They blackmailed us. They've sabotaged us. They've dragged us into disasters. They blackmailed nukes against us. They have an unacknowledged nuclear program, largely because of us and Nixon. And so they use us for their own good, and they put us in bad positions, and they've dragged us into the war in the Middle East, every single war that we've seen so far.
Literally.
But now, everybody's talking about this new defense pact that is growing, or at least has caught a lot of wind of not mainstream media, but a lot of people online. And that's this whole Section 224 nonsense, which pretty much guarantees the United States and Israel will have this joint security plan.
This is, how is it, how? They cannot keep getting away with this shit, bro. They can't. They straight up can't, bro. They're out of control. How are we not putting the foot down? The fuck are we doing?
Of, AI systems, weapon systems. And so people are reading it and they're going, oh, this is like the military is combining, in which it is, but a lot of Zionists are trying to debunk that and saying, no, it's a defense pact, it's a cooperative initiative. And it's like, no, it's not. It's really just the military is integrating with one another. And if the Israeli Defense Force, or the IDF, Israel as a whole, has their teeth sunk into the U.S. military to the point.
It's over, bro. If they manage to get the military power, the American military power as a whole, in their teeth, it's fucking over. We lost. Everyone lost. We cannot win against this shit.
Where we share intel intimately, deeper than we already did. We share weapon systems, AI systems,
It's over.
technology.
It's over. It's over. It's over. They're gonna be able to conquer everything. They're gonna be able to do everything they wanted. It's so dumb.
Force.
It's
no
so
longer this coalition.
dumb.
It's like one joint thing. Then that will ensure that they have more influence than they already do. Don't
It's
you
so
see that?
dumb.
Don't you see how catastrophic that is?
It's so bad. It's
Let's
so
not
bad.
forget,
It's
in
over. It's over.
2008,
It's fucking
Mossad
over, bro.
posed as the CIA with fake passports and fake US dollars and went to these extremist militants out of Pakistan from a joint or a separatist group called Jundullah, which was like this Islamic separatist group, this weird sect of Islam. And they told them that they were the CIA, but they were really Mossad agents. They had fake US passports, fake US dollars, and they
Unforgivable.
tried to bribe them and really get them into attacking Tehran. And that story, front-facingly, would have been the CIA paid militants to attack Iran, and then Iran would have struck us as a result. That was the plan, at least. And we've seen that several times before. And so, like, you think about USS Liberty and all these different things. What would Israel do if their military and our military were deeply embedded like this?
Bro, they were legit cause so much fucking chaos to the point where they don't even need to invade. They immediately conquer everything with no effort at all. Like, it's fucking incredible. How do we have so many fucking dumb people in America letting this shit fucking happen?
I mean,
it's fucking incredible.
You can think about this for days, and we
How?
can come up with all the theories we
Like,
want.
what
but
the
one thing
fuck?
we can certainly generalize, and we can
What
conclude
the
with,
fuck,
is it
bro?
would be catastrophic for the United States.
It'd be
because people
very
are
bad. Not only
already
for the United States, I think it's for the whole fucking world at this point.
at all.
It's
you know,
bad.
and how much influence Israel has, Israeli lobbyists, and all this good stuff. They talk about Thomas Massey, and they talk about all these different things, and these are big developments. I've spoken about them. This is huge, and that's concerning. But this is really scary, and it's not getting nearly as much mainstream coverage as it should. And, you know, this is the trick, and this is what the advanced Zionist agenda is. Everybody has now woken up to the fact that Israel has a large amount of influence inside the United States.
Even too
secret
much.
there, okay,
Way
the
too
United
much.
States considers Israel its greatest ally, and as a result, we've gone to war in Iraq to topple Saddam Hussein. We've done moves in Syria to destabilize, and now we have former kind of CIA spy Ahmed al-Shara, who is in power. And what does he do? He prevents Iran from transporting weapons to southern Lebanon, which is beneficial for the US, but primarily Israel. And everything else, Libya, you know, we've done all of their dirty work. And so we say they're our greatest ally. They're the only democracy in the Middle East. So if we can keep their sovereignty, we can flex and really administer US influence, but that's not the case. They administer and flex their influence in our country, and as a result, they have a large amount of control in the Middle East, to the point where several countries that border them do not like them, but would never go against them because it would guarantee an attack and war and regime change. Who's more powerful? I'm sorry, who's more powerful? The United States, who says, hey, Mexico, you can't give Cuba oil or we're gonna tariff you. Or Israel, who says, if you all attack us, we're gonna nuke the
I think the one that says we're gonna nuke them, I think it's one that have a problem. It's a problem right there. It's a problem right there.
Just you. Building
We don't
your
care,
app.
bro. We don't care. Please stop.
On base 44.
we
fuck
don't
out of this entire region.
I think it's
I mean,
very
who
obvious.
has more power?
Who has more
You
power,
tell
bro?
me. And the Middle East is a little bit more of a pivotal region. You got the Strait of Hormuz, which we see the effect of being closed. Kuwait has not been able to transport any oil. The Strait of Hormuz is blocked. We try to blockade the blockade. That's how much it's hurting the world. Asia's going to run low on oil. Europe's going to run low on oil. They already have, actually, as a result. Everything has skyrocketed in price, even here at home in the United States, due to the price shock. We might have a gas shortage in September. You know, which actual region is more pivotal to have control in? I think it's the Middle East. I don't think it's here. The United States has gotten everything squared away, or a good amount of things squared away here on our side of the world. And we're a hemispheric power. We're a global power. We have tons of influence inside of South America, and we're going to take over Cuba and whatever, and Canada's not to worry about it. But like, Israel is really moving
Yeah.
miles in seconds. They are
It's
really
it's
moving. the
it's a
needle.
problem. It's a
And
fucking
it's a matter
problem.
of time
It's a big
until
problem.
Iran can no longer fight back. They have tons of time in them, and as this conflict sits, I'd even argue that this may be a multi-year conflict. I don't think that it's going to end anytime soon. And Iran has full-on resisted. They're not willing to concede, and so if they can't agree and we can't agree, a tale as old as time, right? This is how history works. There's war. And Iran has displayed the ability and has really led the example that they can withstand U.S. aggression for years. They can. And that's because if we hit them, they hit the Gulf. And the Gulf can't defend themselves. The Gulf countries are militarily weak. They don't have the ability to defend their airspace. Our munitions, our anti-ballistic missiles program munitions, and all that stuff in the region is running low. And so we're having to grab DAD systems from South Korea and things like that in order to mitigate the problem as we're stretched across the region. I've said this several times before. And so Iran has the ability, and that's one fact, but there's several other facts that I've always spoken about. But we all know Iran has the ability to stay in this war for a long time.
Yeah.
This
we
war
know.
of attrition, this asymmetric war. And at the end of it, sure, maybe the story will be that Iran was defeated, but who's really defeated if we had to fight them for 10 years? Who's really defeated if we had to fight them for 20 years? Look at Iraq. How many casualties did we suffer as a result just to turn Iraq into this power vacuum of several different factions trying to fight for power? And the country is still largely unstable to this day because of U.S. intervention in 2003.
Yep.
So that also makes Israel really strong. This all ties with what I'm saying. And now we have this Section 224 nonsense. I mean, things are only going to get worse. So this here is by The Guardian, and you know I'm picky with where I'm getting this news from, but we can just read a little bit of this and then we'll watch a video on it. Congress wants to tie the United States to Israel with this new legislation. It's a trap, whatever. Congress is considering legislation that would embed Israel's military deeply within the U.S. military-industrial complex, done by...
This is a problem to the whole world. It's not even, it's at this point, I wouldn't even consider America as a global power, as the number one power. Just with this, I would say Israel is probably number one. The fact that they have the hands of every military information and weapons, everything that America has, just shows that they're the ones actually in control, and they're the ones actually the number one global power.
Catering a public support for Israeli policies in Gaza, Lebanon, and the West Bank towards Iran, Israel's advocates are frantically seeking to preserve and even escalate U.S. support for the Jewish state in ways that do not rely on defense of its policies or permit scrutiny of the manipulations involved. Politically, this means avoiding public discussion of Israeli policies in Gaza, Lebanon, and the West Bank of Iran, and disguising the sources of massive amounts of money pouring into election races to defeat candidates raising questions about U.S. support for Israel. That's already happening, really. The proposed legislation shows what this means bureaucratically. And so we continue on. News of Section 224 of the National Defense Authorization Act, a section that would deeply intertwine the U.S. and Israeli militaries by committing to bilateral research and development, co-production of weapons, joint ventures, licensing agreements, and unprecedented integration of the U.S. and Israeli weapons industries, triggered an immediate backlash led by representatives like Thomas Massie, Ro Khanna, and Marjorie Greene actually spoke about this as well. This is not in the article, but Marjorie Greene had a comment. The origins of this addition to the defense budget tells us much about how Israel's lobby pursues a foreign country's interests, even as 60% of Americans now hold an unfavorable view of Israel. And
Bro, what the fuck is America doing? What the fuck is going on? They're giving everything literally that Israel wants. They're gonna get everything. This is fucking incredible.
That's the thing. And you don't think Israeli officials know this? You don't think Netanyahu knows this? He knows this. He knows it more than you. And he's noticed it quicker than you. TikTok is, I'm telling you, I'm a user of TikTok. It's largely the same as it has always been. I mean, yeah, I do see a lot of pro-Palestine content. It's lessened, but I still see a lot of pro-Palestine stuff. I see a lot of anti-Israel stuff. And so like Larry Ellison owning TikTok is only doing so much. You know, it's a fleeting gain to try and take control of the media. It's a fleeting...
Okay, I'll come back in a second, guys. I'm back. I just got some water. We got a little snack as well, just in case we end up being here for a little bit. It looks like we're gonna be here for a little bit. Let's go.
Gain to censor people because they just go watch their favorite creator on Kick. They just go to Rumble. They just go to alternate platforms. They go to X.
Yep.
And so kind of censoring people on talking about Israel negatively is not going to work like that. It just has not worked in the last few years. And Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated in September, had told Benjamin Netanyahu a few months prior in a letter to him, an intimate letter that he wrote to him, get this, that you need to win back the media war. That is one of the fronts of this war against the entire world that you're losing. That's like the 8th front of this war. At the time, Israel was fighting a war on 7 fronts or something like that. And the media war is important because all of the youth are coming, and this is Charlie Kirk saying this, all of the youth are coming to me at my college events and asking about Israel and 9/11 and AIPAC and all this stuff. And it's because you are not suppressing or really battling this rhetoric online. It just sits there and it collects a lot of momentum and it's popular to talk about. And I can't be the only one to dismantle this propaganda. And so he's telling him, you got to fight back. But obviously, owning the media really is not going to do much. We understand that, at least from what we've seen so far in these developments with all these new owners and Paramount and everything like that. And so the biggest thing that matters is actually embedding Israel into the U.S. military to the point where there's no turning around. Embedding Israel to the point where they can flex and impose their influence on us without an attempt of really being public, or without it seeming public, without anybody having to know about any large donations of money or anything like this. I mean, what does this mean for the future? There's a lot of ways this can go, but ultimately it's negative and it increases their influence in our military and our legislation greatly. And so, you know, all of these things are to be thought about and to be spoken about, but it hasn't really caught in the mainstream attention that it deserves. And like I've said, with all of the things that Israel has done to undermine us and make us look like the bad guys that drag us into war with Iran, with the passport situation of Jundullah and Mossad in 2008 and all these other things, what are they going to do when they have this, you know? Really concerning things that one must think about. But we can continue with the article because there's a few more good things to read here. In February, the representatives Don Davis, a Democrat from North Carolina, and Ronnie Jackson, a Republican from Texas, introduced the United States-Israel Framework for Upgraded Technologies, Unified Research, and Enhanced Security Features of Act of 2026, alongside companion legislation in the Senate introduced by Senators Ted Budd, a Republican from North Carolina, and Kirsten Gillibrand, a Democrat from New York. Israel's lobby prominently endorsed and lobbied on the legislation. Obviously, no surprise there. The Foundation for Defense of Democracies, a pro-Israel think tank originally incorporated as Emet, the Hebrew word for truth, and committed, according to its founding's IRS filings, to providing education to enhance Israel's image in North America and the public's understandings of issues affecting Israeli-Arab relations, advocated for closer integration of U.S. and Israeli militaries and weapons research and development in December. A report beyond U.S.-Israel MOU, the case for a strategic partnership agreement. 2 months later, the Foundation for Defense of Democracies was the only outside validator for the legislation's on Davis 19 February press release. The United States-Israel Futures Act builds on decades of successful collaboration by improving cooperation across the public, private, and academic sectors to swiftly develop, test, and field defense technologies that will help safeguard U.S. service members and provide Israel with the means to combat a diverse set of threats from foreign adversarial states and terror groups. And Tyler Stapleton, a senior director of government relations at the FDD strongly supports the bipartisan United States-Israel Futures Act. So, crazy stuff. AIPAC also reported lobbying on the U.S.-Israel Futures Act on Capitol Hill. No surprise there, as well as the Department of Defense in the first quarter of the year. While neither the House or Senate legislation made it out of committee, the same legislative architecture and much of the same language appeared in Section 224 of the NDAA, buried deep within the 505-page draft legislation. In short, AIPAC and the FDD were successful in moving their unpopular legislative agendas forward, even as both the U.S. and Senate bills remain stalled in committees. Make no mistake, the intent and the consequences of this legislation, dubbed the United States-Israel Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, go far beyond the sharing of the military technology that traditionally has attracted so much support among senators and Congress members. So,
in sync zijn met je accountant begint met Yuki.
You know, it can go on. It talks about AI and all this stuff. I mean, you can use your mind and really, because largely, I mean, what does this all mean? Like, well, what does it mean? You know, and I'm kind of simplifying it for you guys.
It's so bad.
But,
it's so fucking bad.
You know, that's really the conversation is like, what does it mean?
The fact now Israel is military is connected with America's. They have all the intelligence. They have all the information. They have all the weapons that they're gonna make. They have everything that they need. Middle East is fucked. They are fucked. It's so bad for all the world. It's so bad.
And from a surface, we know it means far more influence and power than they ever had before, which is already way too high. You know, so it is what it is. And this is I saw this on Twitter. I saw this exchange. And I thought that this was really interesting and insightful. This guy tweets, the misinformation around NDAA section 224 is actually impressive. The hate-filled accounts are banking on you never reading it yourself. No, section 224 does not fully merge the U.S. and Israeli militaries. That's ridiculous. It simply creates an office to better coordinate bilateral tech cooperation, expand joint R&D, and build on existing close ties for the benefit of the United States military. All right, so you just said the same thing twice. It does actually merge them completely, if anything. But, you know,
a retard right there. A retard right there.
And this guy responds
right there.
Section 224 isn't a harmless partnership. It embeds Israeli influence into U.S. military tech via AI, cyber data fusion, and co-production. That risks U.S. sovereignty, creates dangerous dependencies, and exposes secrets to a partner with a history of harming America. USS Liberty, Pollard espionage, and all these other things that I spoke about with you guys just a moment ago. So, you know, you gotta love it. You can't make it up. You can't make it up. So when Netanyahu says he wants to draw down the financial support to zero, what do you think plan B is? It probably is that. This is out of the New York Times. It says Pentagon sees growing espionage threat from Israel. Really? Do you think that Israel espionage? Really? You think?
No way, bro. They finally got the hands of the military. No way this will be espionage. Who would have fucking guessed?
Israel had too much intelligence on us? Really? Fucking Sherlock Holmes over here. Who figured this out in the Pentagon? We get Sherlock Holmes. Whoever figured this out, give him a raise, because we didn't know this before, you idiot. Oh my God.
Everybody knew, bro.
We see growing threats of espionage from Israel. Really? I'm not trying to be, I got to be a little more professional, but it's like, I read this article and I'm like, bro, okay. Step in the right direction, though. Step in the right direction.
There's like everybody knew, and so many people warned everybody, and they still decided to do this shit. That was dumb.
All right, anyway, so it says, recent U.S. intelligence reports have raised concerns about Israeli spy agencies eavesdropping on American negotiators working on a peace deal with Iran amid rising concern over a more general counterintelligence threat by Israel. Israel and the United States have long known and tolerated that each was spying on each other, but an intensified Israeli effort to learn about U.S. positions in talks with Iran has crossed a line, according to some American officials. The reports include concerns that Israel has stepped up its efforts to eavesdrop on senior American officials, including Stephen Witkoff. I mean, he is one of them, really. President Trump's top negotiator, Elbridge A. Colby, the Pentagon's top policy official, and one of his main deputies, Michael P. Dimino. Another report written by the Defense Intelligence Agency and other military intelligence offices and focused on earlier events going back several years, said that the counterintelligence threat level posed by Israel had been increased in recent weeks due to the top level from high to critical. The report, to which the Defense Counterintelligence and Security Agency contributed, outlines various efforts by Israel to spy on American military personnel and government officials. The reports and the intensified concern about Israeli spying come at an especially sensitive time. Israel and the United States have been fighting the war against Iran together and have never had such close military coordination as they do now, with Israeli military officers working side by side with their American counterparts at U.S. Central Command, or U.S. CENTCOM. The U.S. military is sharing huge amounts of tactical and operational information with its Israeli counterparts, but senior American officials said that Israel is looking for insight into Mr. Trump's strategy and shifting stances on the peace talks. And I mean, like, really, we knew this was what it was from the beginning. Let me just adjust this so you guys can read alongside.
Yeah, we knew that they were attacking Lebanon, so they couldn't do the peace deal. And not only that, like, it's quite obvious that they're gonna have fucking agents be able to eavesdrop to fucking everything. Like, who would have guessed?
Please, or if you want to. The new warning could potentially complicate efforts to further integrate military war planning between U.S. Central Command and Israel, especially if the Pentagon makes a decision to place new restrictions on information shared with Israeli officers. There has already been tension between the two nations as Mr. Trump pursues a peace deal, even as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu of Israel seeks to further degrade Iran's capabilities, weaken or topple its theocratic government, and assaults Tehran's proxy in Lebanon, Hezbollah. Really, not only the proxy, but Lebanon too is what he's assaulting. The Defense Intelligence Agency report was drafted after incidents in which American defense personnel in Israel detected that software to tap their communications had been surreptitiously installed on their phones. The existence of the Defense Intelligence Agency report and the increased threat level were reported earlier by NBC News. The Defense Department declined to comment. A White House official speaking on the condition their name not to be used said the account was false. A spokesperson for the Israeli embassy in Washington also disputed claims that Israel poses a counterintelligence threat, saying that Israel does not spy on American officials or entities. Yeah, all right, buddy. The developments were described by several current and former U.S. officials speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive intelligence matters. They said that in some respects, the counterintelligence warning is no surprise. Israel has long engaged in aggressive intelligence collection operations against both its enemies and its allies, as does the United States. Still, Israel's counterintelligence threat level is now higher than any other ally and higher than some adversarial countries. Of American allies, only South Korea, which is rated at high in certain situations, approaches the concern with Israel's espionage efforts, the officials said. So, the aggressiveness of the Israeli intelligence collection on top of U.S. officials during the second Trump admin has unhinged, one senior official said, or has been unhinged. Two senior U.S. military officials said that American personnel, particularly those serving in Israel or with Israeli counterparts, were well aware of the counterintelligence risks before the new report. The officials who spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss internal assessments said U.S. personnel employ a range of security procedures and protocols to help counter the threat and to protect their cell phones and other electronic devices, especially while traveling in Israel, but declined to describe those measures in detail for security reasons. Cooperation between the two militaries is very close, but each side also needs to keep its most sensitive information secret. And continues on here, but this is largely irrelevant. This is the whole point of the article, or this is the biggest point here. And, you know, I mean, where's the surprise? And Washington says, oh, don't worry, it's false. It's like, you really believe that's false? We have so much more reason to believe that's true here in the United States, given the history of everything that's happened. And Marjorie Greene tweeted about it, former congresswoman. She said, the Pentagon raised threat of Israeli spying on the U.S. to the highest level, and AIPAC is openly cheering Republicans for Section 224 in the NDAA that merges our military with Israel's military. Our government is being captured. And AIPAC actually responded here. No, the truth is hard for you. The White House categorically denied this report. This entire story is false, and source is someone who doesn't have any knowledge of what's going on.
Yeah, 100%.
That was a quote from the White House, and, you know, it asked Grok and everything. But here's the thing, and someone put this here. This section would require the Secretary of Defense to designate an executive agent responsible for synchronizing cooperative efforts between the United States and Israel.
In this little section just shows that both military have to unite. It literally proves that
bilateral
they're
defense
uniting.
technology, research development, testing, evaluation, integration, and industrial cooperation. To me, that sounds like two militaries working together. What do you guys think? I mean, really, what are we doing here? What's with the word salad, word play? Like, we know what it is. It's categorically false. That's not what it says. Technically, it's only a combination of cooperative efforts on the basis of.
It's
like,
combining
no,
both.
They're working together.
It's literally combining
closer
both.
than they ever have. That's what it is. That's why
It
the
literally
legislation
says
is there
on
in
the
the first place,
fucking-
because
listen,
there is a
like,
benefit
it says
to
on
it
the
that they don't already
fucking
have the
law.
benefit
It
of.
says
There's
it.
something they want access to that they don't have access to. That's why there's increased security. That's why there's increased spying. That's why there's this espionage now, because there is more that they need that they do not have. And this is the situation with Israel. They always take. They need so much more from us. They don't get enough hegemony in the Middle East. They try to destroy Iraq, and they do. They destroy Libya. They've had a hand in actually helping the UAE destroy Sudan and Syria and all these other countries that have leaders now installed that would never dare test against Israel. And you have the Abraham Accords, and you have all these Gulf allies that have pretty much normalized relations largely with Israel to the point where they would never defy them, especially militarily.
We don't care.
Fairly.
God
And
damn.
Israel just says that's not enough, actually. We have to spy on the United States harder than we ever have. We have to drag them into a forever war with Persia, and so that we can actually have control in southern Lebanon, so that we can annex the Gaza Strip without any resistance. And it's like, bro, they just take, and they're going farther and farther. And it's going to get to a point where you're going to begin to really notice Israel has not only influence, but it's going to be power. Like, it's always been the situation of influence. That's what it's always been. You look at the clean break memo, you look at everything else from the...
And now that you see how things have gone far, now you think twice and you said to yourself, Mustache Man was actually right. It's scary to say this, because that guy was a piece of shit. He did horrible things. Okay? And the fact that we have to say that he was right, again, like, what the fuck?
late 90s and the early 2000s and the Gulf War, it's always been about their influence. And that has been largely felt. Everybody knows about that. But now it's going to be a situation of power. I mean, the US military and the Israeli military working this close, paired along with their stellar intelligence system and intelligence program, because the Mossad is that. It's insanely effective. That's power now. That's no longer influence. And that's what they want. Because with the influence comes the public eye. With the influence comes lobbying. With the influence comes the scrutiny of everybody online. All the voices that have been critical against Israel. Tucker Carlson has joined the cause. Megyn Kelly has joined the cause. Candace Owens has joined the cause. These are very big voices. These are mainstream voices. These are not alt voices. And so you think, and there's more that I'm not even thinking of, but you think about that, Israel understands for the large part, they have to circumvent the matter. It's no longer paying people and getting people out of Congress and unseating people like Thomas Massie to send a message, because that kind of riles up the crowd and doesn't work in their benefit long term. Short term, certainly it's a win, but long term, it's an L. And so now there has to be this joint integration so people can never reverse the effect Israel has in the United States, and they can use what we have without asking us for it. They can use what we have for their own benefit and eventually get to the point where they can steer clear of us, no longer have to join any sort of force and military capabilities and technologies, and then maybe even defy us in the next 20 or 30 years, who knows? So that's the concern, is like, this is going to give them power more than influence to me. And that's where I'm worried, because it's the influence that they have. But so long as we have somebody in charge who will tell them no to the right things, their power is limited. Israel goes to Barack Obama, Israel goes to George Bush, Israel goes to Joe Biden, Benjamin Netanyahu, whoever it is, and they say, please strike Iran. Iran is a hotbed for terror. Iran funds proxy groups that threaten our borders and our sovereignty, whatever it is. And all these presidents go, look, we'll give you the weapons, we'll give you the money, we can do something here and there, we can threaten Iran, we can exercise a little bit of brinksmanship. We are not bombing Iran, you know? And so there was always a cap, do you understand? With now this new legislation of 224, there may not be a cap. I mean, President Trump obviously is an idiot and made the mistake of starting the war in Iran for no reason besides serving Israel's interests and distracting people maybe from Epstein.
Yeah,
probably. Maybe something else in there, I don't know. People say cutting oil off from China, you're retarded, you know nothing. But, you know, you think
Cutting
about all
oil
this,
off China, that's so
the
dumb.
next person in
That's funny.
charge could be a Democrat in 2028. And what have Democrats done? They've forced the Trump administration to acknowledge, or they've tried to force the Trump administration with the legislation that they posed to have Israel acknowledge their nuclear program. Gavin Newsom in the beginning of the war said that we're fighting this war for Israel. It's stupid. Several Democratic people in Congress and senators have said this war is largely unneeded. It's unnecessary. And they're against it for the most part. You know, the pendulum has to swing in the opposite direction at some point, which means the United States will have little to no sympathy for Israel left. If there is any as we speak now, there's really little.
Yep.
Remember, everybody in Congress and all these senators are 80 years old, 70 years old, 60 years old. These are all boomers, you know, or most of them are boomers. But Tim Dillon said something really interesting on his show not too long ago. He said the difference between Gen Z and Gen X or millennials or anything like that is they refuse to be subject to propaganda. They refuse to be brainwashed.
Yes. That's why this is one of the points that I love about my generation is we don't believe on the fucking bullshit. That's something that we do not fucking believe. It's the fucking bullshit. That's one of the points that I love about my generation is we don't believe this shit.
They question everything.
We question everything.
Sometimes you see people go crazy with the conspiracy theories and they take it too far. They drag it on. But the benefit is we can't be lied to. You know, we cannot be lied to. There has been this growing anti-Israel rhetoric. People are tired of their politicians being subverted by Israeli interests and taking Israeli money. And so, of course, again, like I said, Israel knows this and they're going to beat us to the punch. They're getting the legislation in order. Trump is the last guy who is going to allow Israel to flex their muscles as much as they can, especially here domestically. The next president, for a very good reason, may still, of course, support Israel, but put a cap to their power like the previous ones obviously had done. And so Israel, understanding this with the most crucial war that they've ever been involved in, the war with Iran, the strongest enemy they faced so far, knows they have to plant seeds now and so that they can access a great deal of power despite Trump not being in office, because Trump is synonymous with Israel. He is literally Israel himself.
This is so
He
dumb.
worked hard with Israel, and they're synonymous at this point, to unseat Thomas Massie. He also is threatening to revoke visas of people who criticize Israel or say free Palestine. Look at all these things that Trump has done. He's increased the surveillance state. I mean, he's done really nothing for the American people as a whole, but the biggest issue now, besides the raised gas and the raised goods and all these issues and the insider trading, and we can talk about all the corruption, the biggest issue is the war in Iran. That is the biggest issue that we will pay for on a long enough time scale. Everything else can be somewhat remedied or repaired within the next few years. The Israeli-Iran issue, that's one that is for the books. And when it's all said and done with, in the next 20 or 30 years, people are going to look back and go, man, the Iraq war was a mistake, but Iran is even worse. Iran is a far worse mistake
No,
than
100%.
starting a war in Iraq. You know why? Iraq was
100%.
not that powerful. Iraq was not that strong. Iraq didn't have a complicated ballistic missiles program. Iraq didn't have a very capable drone program.
Yeah.
Iraq didn't have nuclear or enriched uranium to the level of 60%, which is just 30% away from weapons grade. Iraq didn't have any of that. And that's why we started that war in that false pretext. Weapons of mass destruction, which the United Nations had actually debunked in 2008. But Iraq didn't have that. Iran has all of that. Iran also has a geostrategic advantage, being that they occupied the Strait of Hormuz. That is their waters. And so they can block that too. So Iran has the missiles, Iran has the drones, Iran has the guards on the ground, or the IRGC has 250,000 armed guards on the ground ready to fight. We haven't even crossed that border yet. We haven't even got to that point yet. That step may come. I pray to God it doesn't come. And they have likely at this point, who knows, a nuclear bomb. Who knows? Maybe they made the nuke while we started this war. They've had a 60-day buffer period since the ceasefire. What have they been doing with their uranium? Are they just looking at the 60% enriched uranium like, wow, that's really pretty? Or are they ramping it up so they can defend themselves if this happens again? And this is the foe that Israel has now created and has to face. They have to make sure while Trump is in office, they can do something so they can set themselves up for the next 4 or 5 or 6 years if there's another president that ends up getting in office that is not so favorable to Israel. And by the way, don't worry, they're probably going to ensure that doesn't happen. But in case it does, Section 224 sits nicely for them, and they'll wipe the dust off of it if they need to utilize it. And this is what they do. They are phenomenal at it. They're thinking 7, 8 steps ahead. Because you would think right now, what's the point of conjoining the militaries and everything? The U.S. military has done everything for Israel.
It's for the future. So if the president is against them, they still have power in America. A lot more than they used to be.
These last few months, we started a war in Iran. It's because Israel can see what's coming. They're looking in front of them. They're looking high. They're aiming high. You know, in driving school, they say aim high, look ahead, see the traffic. Israel sees the traffic. They can see what's gonna slow them down. And so what's very important right now is planting these seeds. And this is what that legislation precisely is. So I thought that was awesome. Tim Dillon, he said, and he's got a big show. He said, you know, I like him. I think he's pretty funny. He said Gen Z refuses the propaganda, and they really do. And we see it. We see it. Charlie Kirk used to be at his tables, and he would go to all these large campuses and draw out these crowds of thousands of passionate students, but he would always get stumped with the Israel question. And you'd see the Palestinian Christian step up to the mic and go, well, I'm a Palestinian Christian. And Charlie Kirk says, oh, well, right on, God bless. And it's like, yeah, you don't know what to say now. So increasingly, the concern for Israel is becoming unanimous.
Yep, it's getting bigger and bigger. And one more.
You know what? We got a lot of you guys in here. Let's do PBD.
What is this?
All right, let's see.
War and peace? Yes. I'm sure in some domestic politics, tax rates, I'm sure there's
smaller stuff.
And I will admit, all right, reluctantly enough,
There you
I
go.
will admit.
What the fuck?
You know, say what you want about Mehdi Hassan. The guy's got a brain on him. He's a pretty good debater, okay? Sorry, somebody got to say it. He's not dumb. So he's a formidable foe.
Yeah, in domestically within Israel, I'm sure they are.
Down to the war.
When it comes down to the region,
Tell me what the vision is. If you think,
yeah.
what do you think his vision is?
There's a best case scenario and there's a worst case scenario.
Okay.
The best case scenario is that they have this idea of we must be in a state of permanent war footing, right? I think there's a phrase for it, I forget the name, combat between the conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
There's some military doctrine that says even when we're not at war, we carry on doing preemptive strikes, we carry on doing cyber warfare, we carry on doing assassinations, so that it remains the regional hegemon. We keep our superiority, our military edge. We let everyone know in the region who's boss, even when we're not in a formal state of war.
I mean, yeah, when is it fighting somebody in their multi-front war? It's either Lebanon, or it's either Gaza, or it's either something in the West Bank, Palestinian Jihad group. It's something.
Yeah, there's always
Iraq,
something.
it's something. It's always something.
That's the best case scenario, that this is just a security doctrine that says we will bomb and invade whoever we like just to remain top dog in the region. That's best case scenario. Worst case scenario is it's ideological, that these are fanatical, messianic people who believe that all of the territory is theirs, given to them by the Bible. I interviewed Naftali Bennett in 2017, nearly a decade.
Guess what? It's not given them by the Bible. I'm telling you already, it's not. You really think that the Jews are the ones that are the chosen? They are not. You're retarded if you think that. They are.
From the Nile to the Euphrates.
Decade ago for Al Jazeera. He was an education minister at the time.
They
I'll
are
never
not.
forget this interview. I said to him, we were talking about peace treaties and two-state solution, and he said, the Bible says it's ours. I've never heard someone say it that bluntly to my face. I can't imagine Ilhan Omar going on TV and saying, the Quran says this, right? This guy's openly saying the Bible says
never
the
said
land
the
is ours.
Jews. No.
Where do you go with that? There's no debate after that, right? That's just a kind of religious, ethnic nationalist, messianic vision. So Benjamin Netanyahu, even though he's not a religious man, has signed off on a greater...
It says it's for the chosen ones. It doesn't say it's for the Jews. It says it's for the chosen ones, which the Jews used to be the chosen ones. But after the bullshit and all the dog shit that they've done in the past, they were no longer the chosen ones. Literally in the Bible, it says that they're no longer the chosen ones. Literally in the Bible. So I don't want to hear it.
About what he believes in, he said, absolutely. The opposition leader, Yair Lapid, who's a kind of centrist, supposedly a liberal, he was asked after the Mike Huckabee, Tucker Carlson interview. He said, do you agree with Mike Huckabee? That all other territories from the Bible, it's all yours? Our borders are biblical. This is what the opposition leader said. Forget the right-wingers Smotrich and Ben Gvir.
What do you think is the likelihood their vision becomes a reality?
Right now, more likely than not, because the United
99% going to happen.
States of America has allowed it to get away with a genocide.
How long? I mean, long term,
long term, no. Long term, it's perpetual war for perpetual peace.
And by the way, deep down inside, do you really think Trump wants this war to continue?
No. Trump doesn't
No, he doesn't.
That's why he's been humiliated by Iran, because he thought this would be over in a few days.
By the way, nobody thought Iran was going to be able to, not nobody. A lot of people on this camp, when they sat there and talked about it, it is a very fair argument to say that. No, let me make my point on what I'm saying. It is a very fair argument to say that unlike Venezuela, which we went and we got Maduro and we're out.
It's so dumb.
Maduro.
Most likely, Cuba is going to be the same way as Venezuela, probably even easier when they go through and get it.
Sure.
Iran showed up strength to the world.
Yeah.
And you got to give them credit, no matter what anybody says, conservative or on the left.
You can give them credit militarily, obviously not politically, but Trump, I don't think we can defend him with nobody knew this, but he did this line recently. Nobody knew they were going to hit the Gulf states. We all knew they were going to hit the Gulf states. They've been saying this for years.
I called it, by the way.
Everybody knew.
That in there.
Everybody knew.
End of February. Anyways, we'll keep going.
We're going to hit the Gulf states.
Iran was going to hit the Gulf states.
Do you think
that's been their doctrine for years.
Do you think that unified the Gulf states even more?
No. I think we've wrecked our long-term relationship with the Gulf.
Tell me why.
I think in private, all of these Gulf states will, in public, they'll say what they've got to say, but in private, they know the U.S. security umbrella does not extend to them anymore. They know that even if they give Donald Trump a $400 million plane, even if they put $500 million in his crypto business, they'll always take precedence over them.
Do you think the Gulf states prefer Iran to be led by IRGC, or the story we saw recently with Pezeshkian, who's a moderate, stepping down because it's like everything's being run by. Who do you think the Gulf states would rather have?
I think the Gulf states are not a monolith, first of all, Patrick, because the UAE is very different to Qatar and Kuwait, right?
But they're neighbors.
They're neighbors, but they have different foreign policy.
Yeah, the UAE is. I'll say it. The UAE is.
True.
They are a direct security partner of it. They have a security access.
Yeah,
They've
true.
been closely aligned for a long time now.
The UAE is an outlier. The UAE is very hawkish, very pro-America, very anti-Iran, which is kind of crazy because, if the US and Israel move on with their lives, the UAE is exposed to Iran for the rest of their lives.
Isn't UAE succeeding the most out of most of the Gulf states?
Are they?
Financially?
Are they? So many businesses have cleared out. Tourism has fallen. It's a huge industry based on tourism.
I believe it's Qatar. Let's see. Let's find out. Let's see if I'm right. I believe it's Qatar.
For the time.
You think people are going to go back? I think my thing is.
I think so.
I think that their image has been permanently destroyed. I don't think you could put it back in the bottle. They had this image, especially to kind of white Westerners.
Oh my! Come on, I cook. I cook. Who's gonna say I don't know my facts? Richest Gulf country is Qatar.
Who would have guessed?
As this business, tourist, even residential utopia. You go there, there's no crime, you chill out, everything's cheaper, etc., etc.
Not anymore.
I think that's gone now. Once Iran has done this, I think they've destroyed that image. Now, if you're Amazon or you're whatever it is, Chase Bank, you're going to go back into Dubai, Abu Dhabi, knowing that Iran can then do this again at any time they want. As long as...
Yeah, and that's... Me and my brother spoke about this several times. You got to think about this as well. Let's say this war ends tomorrow. Trump and Mujtaba Khamenei, who is the current supreme leader, the son of the one who was just killed previously on the February 28th strike. Let's say Trump and Khamenei shake hands. They're best friends. We do diplomacy. Sanctions are lifted. Iran lets go of the uranium. Perfect world. Still, with that, the Gulf states will suffer drastically as a result. Why? Iran has now displayed the capability that they have a ballistic weapons program, a ballistic missiles program rather, that can hit the Gulf states in seconds. And so real estate investors, anybody who wants to pump money into the country, anybody
It's
who
gone,
wants
they're
to live
gone.
in the country, anybody who wants to travel there for vacation, which is what these Gulf countries are known for, especially the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and then the other countries like Kuwait, Qatar. These are tourist destinations, and they are beautiful countries, by the way. People are going to want to travel there when they understand that an Iranian missile or drone can roll over their head at any time, and the United States will do nothing to stop it. We have no air defense there, and the air defense that we actually have existent there is not sufficient enough to stop Iranian ballistic missiles, especially their hypersonics. It takes no effort for Iran to hit the UAE. They're super close, just right across the water, and we saw what happened in the first few weeks. So the suffering that these countries will do from a perspective of tourism and economic growth is going to grow over time. It's not just going to stop when the war stops. No, there will be a dwindling, delayed effect, big time.
Because Iran is still run by the same government, I don't think these Gulf states get that image back. And I think the Qataris understand that, even the Saudis understand that. They want a region, I think privately, and I may be wrong, and the few people in the Gulf I speak to say this to me, they recognize that Israel is the real problem in the region. They may not say
100%. They would just never say it publicly.
The Abraham Accords, like,
there's no real benefit in glazing it anymore. It does nothing except cause destruction, to be honest. So they might just be front-facing about it.
Bahrain, etc. UAE, but I think they understand that it's a destabilizing force in the region. It's Israel that bombed 6 countries in the Middle East last year. It wasn't Iran that did that. It's Israel that went to war now and brought the United States into this conflict and led to Iran bombing Kuwait and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And I think that is the situation.
Hey, he's cooking. He's cooking. He's speaking the truth right there. He's cooking.
I think you're going to see these Gulf states, if they're smart, making overtures to the China.
That's so annoying. Viewership dropped because we lagged out. That's so stupid. I don't know why OBS drops off like that.
And he's into the Russians in future years. They have to kind of diversify who they rely on.
Maybe it's me being a Syrian. Maybe it's me being Armenian. Maybe the fact that I lived in Iran could be the reason for this. But nobody, sells it as this incredibly powerful organization and brains than those who hate it.
Listen, it's not about, they're powerful, but it's really their influence that will eventually convert into real power.
That's the problem.
Section 224 is going to ensure that.
All they talk about is how powerful it is. I don't think there's anybody that's the Don King promoting how smart, intellectual, brilliant it is than those cannot stand his.
I'm not one of those.
But if
I mean, let me just go through the list. I'm not somebody who said Iran would roll over. I said Iran would make Iraq look like
Not
a walk
that,
in the
but
park.
I'm talking about,
right.
like, how-
I warned that Iran and America would not be able to destroy Iran in the way they thought they could destroy Iran. It was insane. It was hubris to think.
No, they're not trolling. It does that. It does that. Sometimes when I drop frames, it mutes for people.
They could do that. I've been saying that for 15 years. I've been saying it since Iraq, 2003, when I was a 23-year-old marching against that war. When Bush was thinking about Iran, I was saying.
Are you afraid of his?
Am I afraid of?
Are you afraid of his?
What do you mean?
Are you afraid of his aspirations?
Oh yeah.
PBD is trying to downplay their influence and power. It's like, bro, come on, dude. They just unseated Thomas Massey as a foreign nation. Are we dead ass right now? Come on. They're pretty powerful.
Aspirations are different, right? Can they pull it off? I agreed with you that just because they have this messianic vision doesn't mean they're going to win.
Yeah. I mean,
I agree
to
with
me,
that.
it's like, okay,
No, they didn't win in Gaza.
bro,
Patrick, I said in 2023,
Yeah.
this whole plan, when people were like yourself and others were saying Israel has a right to self-defense, destroy Hamas, I said, you can't. There is no military solution to your problem.
Yeah. So you know what it is for me. Don't talk to Mehdi because Mehdi's going to do this. No, I want to talk to Mehdi. No, I'm telling you, be careful. No, I want to talk to Mehdi. Oh, don't talk to Bibi because I want to talk to him. I wish you had an hour and a half to talk. No, don't talk to Nick. No, don't talk to this guy. I want to talk to him.
2 million. Bye-bye.
I don't sit there and see that, my God, everything, they're so powerful. They're going to control America. They do this, they do that. I mean.
Yeah, but you don't condemn them. You're not their enemy. You've historically supported them. So you have nothing to worry about. Try and condemn them. Try and attack them. Try and persuade people that they're powerful. Be at the back end of or the front end, really, of their censorship. And then see how powerful they are.
You're kind of giving them too much credit.
I mean, you're mixing different things together, though. One thing is militarily, can they win on battlefields? No, not always. Hezbollah defeated them in 2000, famously. That was the first time they were defeated by an Arab force on a battlefield when they withdrew from southern Lebanon. They're back. We were told Hezbollah was done. Do you remember a couple years ago? Oh, the pages and the assassination of Nasrallah. They're done. It was a paper. They just killed 30 soldiers in the last few weeks, right? They've injured hundreds more. Who knows what the real numbers are? So clearly they're not done for. Hamas is still around, and the Iranians still have, 70% of their missile stock, according to U.S. intelligence. So the idea that these were paper tigers was bull. That's a different argument. I'm not a military expert. I'm not going to sit here and adjudicate, who has the strength in the field. Politically, though, in this country, does it still have power? Sure. They still have politicians who support them. They still have lobby groups that advocate on their behalf.
So does Qatar.
No, not on the level
of... No, they don't.
Okay, let me ask you a question. If you had $5 billion to win over influence in people in America politically and inject your way of thinking, would you put that money to buy over congressmen and senators, or would you put that money into winning over kids? Where would you put your money?
Both.
No.
Either or.
Okay, then do diversify. Seriously, use it as a mutual fund. You got $5 billion. How much you put in one? How much you put in the other one? Honestly.
I don't know. I
want you to think about it.
50-50. I think they're both important.
You think
you talk about when you say young people, you mean like TikTok?
Universities. I'm talking about universities, TikTok, social. Give money to universities, give money to places to get the kids influence. Where would you put the money?
But let me take your example. Take it a step further. Okay, let's say I put it all in students. I win over young people. That's already happened. Have you seen the polling? The young people hate it.
I know.
But does it translate into policy? No, because the Congress still controls the purse strings. So I'll give you one example.
And there's been no money pumped into the idea of hating it. By the way, that happened organically because they killed 100,000 people for no good reason.
8% of Democrats support war in Gaza. 8%, according to a poll last year. In Congress, it's the other way around. It's like 80% of Democrats support Israel, only 8 or 10% are voting against weapons or genocide. I'm ballpark figures here. So what's the disconnect? The disconnect is we have a Congress that doesn't represent the public on either side of the divide. I don't think the Republican Party fully represents its base, but more so, Democratic Party certainly doesn't represent its base on the leadership. Look at these primaries. We're sitting on a day where there's going to be a bunch of primaries.
That's so dumb.
So my big point here is, yes, it's great that young people have been won over. It's great that everyone under the age of 50 in the United States of America, whether Republican or Democrat, does not want more weapons going to Israel. That's the latest polling. Under the age of 50, everyone.
That makes sense to me.
Right? But Congress does. So the disconnect, this is why we have such a crisis of democracy. This is why Israel matters so much in our political system. It's not just a foreign policy issue. It's an issue of our democracy where we have members of Congress and a president who does not follow American will, does not follow the will of the voters. And so to answer your question, yeah, you do need to spend money lobbying Congress because ultimately they're the ones voting on weapons. They're the ones voting on aid. They're the ones voting to...
Very well answered, I must admit. He put that together well.
Censor our speech, saying anti-Zionism is anti-Semitism. All of that stuff is coming out of Congress. And people say, oh, Qatar and this. I just gave you an example. The Qataris gave him a $400 million plane. The Emiratis gave him $500 million for his crypto fund. The Saudis have sponsored multiple multi-million-dollar golf tournaments at his properties, hotels. Did it come in useful? When it came down to it, he picked it. He picked Miriam Adelson. He picked Benjamin Netanyahu. Yeah. He picked AIPAC. He picked Marco Rubio.
I don't know about that.
He picked all these people. What do you mean? We've seen it with our eyes.
I don't know about that. Listen, let me ask you this. Do you think, and by the way, you didn't answer my question. So I want to stay on the money part, and then I'm going to...
Yeah, he did. He literally just answered you.
I did answer. I said, I can spend it all on the kids. It doesn't matter.
No, but so
because ultimately, Congress is still more important.
So you would put all the money in Congress and
No, both. I said split.
You would do 50-50.
50-50. Win over the people, and then win over the people who represent people.
So where does Qatar put their money? They put $6.5 billion in universities. Where does China put their money? $5.5 billion in universities. What type of influence do you think they got long term?
Are we doing
Do you think long term? Like you think China thinks short term? You think Qatar thinks short term? You think they're trying to buy influence long term when they get in front of the kids?
You think? Do you have evidence? It's a serious question.
The dollar?
No, I mean no. I'm talking about. Do you have evidence that? Well, first of all, what Chinese investment has gone into universities?
Bro, there is no. Somebody send help, bro. I'm literally having Forget it.
Do you want to pull it up, Rob? I mean, this. You know.
I know the Qataris are sponsored. I've been to Georgetown, Qatar.
Oh yeah. Qatar has too much influence in the United States. China has too much. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Let's
100%.
eradicate their influence. But we cannot start there because they just don't have nearly as much as it.
They have almost nothing influence. No influence.
What?
What the fuck?
They spend a lot of money on U.S. universities. But it's great. I'm asking about what's China's sponsored university?
Oh, China's given donations to...
The Chinese government sponsors American universities. I did not know this.
Bro, if we weren't on YouTube, I could have a really sick segment right now where we go over several presidents of several Ivy League schools and all the donors to those Ivy League schools. It's okay.
Let me pull up.
Do it, bro.
Gotta be careful where I'm at.
Need to show my ignorance.
By the way, I don't know
bro.
where the money is coming
Do
from,
it.
but I'll show you here. China has invested an estimated 5.6. I was short by $1 billion.
Okay.
6.4 billion in American universities over the recent decade, making it one of the largest foreign. So why are they doing it?
No,
Are
hold
they
on.
dumb?
You didn't read the third sentence.
Which is what
These funds
are
private
for
research. You think research partnerships with the Chinese is making kids on campus pro-China?
No, I'm not. No. It's not what I'm saying. Okay, Mehdi, you're very smart. So you went to Oxford. You got the PPE degree. Because it's like not the PPP loan. You got the legit PPE degree, right? Do you not think if these
Patrick Bet-David's #1 strategy is giving somebody he's arguing with credit before he tries to take down what they're saying?
schools are getting this types of money, which phone call you think they're picking up?
Oh,
you think
we know, Patrick, because we just saw what happened the last 3 years. Did Colombia go pro Qatar?
But what did Colombia do?
I'm sorry. What is the point of this conversation? Immediately just introduce the fact that if you have a visa and you speak negatively about it, you are deported.
That's
Did we
unacceptable.
forget that policy?
Yeah.
Did we forget that's real right now in the United States?
Yeah, that's unacceptable. But you know.
Did we forget that?
Yeah,
Bill
freedom of
Ackman,
speech,
who
by the
was a
way. Freedom of speech.
multi-billionaire,
Freedom of speech.
blacklisted students who protested for Palestine and at all these Ivy League schools, and now they can never get good jobs, good paying, prestigious jobs now.
Freedom of speech, by the
We're
way,
talking
guys.
about
Freedom of
China and
speech.
Qatari influence. Give me a break. Oh, brother.
They went
But
they silenced all the pro-Palestinian.
But what did they do? But what did they do?
They rolled over for Donald Trump and they rolled over for the.
What was the event that happened that got them to get there?
I don't know which event.
Why did they do that?
I don't know. I don't know where you're going.
You follow the stories. You tell me who was it? It was 3 universities, right? Columbia was one of them.
And
Who was the other
there was a
2?
bunch of universities that cracked
but
down
why
on
did they do
pro-Palestine
that?
dissenters.
Why did they do that?
Multiple reasons. Pressure from politicians who are
think maybe
pressure
they
from
screwed up
donors
as
who
well?
are pressure from activist groups. This whole ridiculous debate where we conflate criticism of with anti-Semitism. I remember when I launched.
I'm not with that. Just so you know, like
Yeah.
in Florida, when they're saying you can't debate and criticize it, I'm not part of that camp.
Not just that. DeSantis is one of the many governors.
You may not be part of that and say it explicitly, but all the rhetoric that you're implying right now is in line with that. You're trying to say that they don't have any influence. That's a ridiculous statement that nobody who's being intellectually honest would agree upon.
And
I'm
Republicans
not part of that
who have
camp.
said that if you're an American business that engages in BDS, you can't get contracts
No.
with the state. That's insane. That American business can't do what it wants to do.
But by the way, what I'm trying to tell you is,
Bro, do you remember when Texas got hit with the hurricane and there was some legislation that said that if anybody who was affected by the hurricane had a historic past of anti-Semitic or anti remarks, they wouldn't get relief funds? Do you
What? What does that have to do with? What does that have to? What?
remember that? Like, what are we talking about? I could pull that up. Hold on.
I think the reasonable people.
Wait, that was a
are-
thing? There's no fucking way. Bro, Zionism is out of control, bro. It's legit out of fucking control. There's no fucking way they
Not
actually
with
freaking did that shit.
Short term, some of these things may come and go. Long term, they're not. I had Randy, what's his last name? Randy Fine. I had him on and I asked him the question about.
Bro, what are we talking about? This is like I'm having a field day here.
Texas
City requires pledge for hurricane relief.
What? This is actually fucking unacceptable, bro. What the fuck? Yeah, Israel is a problem. Israel is a fucking problem. Israel is a big fucking problem. Zionism needs to get the fuck out of this fucking world. It's a fucking problem. It's a fucking problem.
This was 2017. Hold on, there's a more recent instance.
It's
but it's like,
fucking
bro,
unacceptable.
you can't, like, bro, you can't.
Where he's at.
You can't tell me that's not real.
I think you maybe even tweeted something about it when we talked about it. I asked him a couple questions pointed whether he was pro-America, America first, or Israel first. If you're in America, hey, I
Somebody said WTF. Yeah, that's a red pill. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't know this.
Yeah,
what
bro.
the fuck?
If your home got absolutely eaten up by a Category 10 hurricane, I know, Category 5. If your home got destroyed by a Category 5 hurricane, but you didn't say that you supported, no money for you.
That's unacceptable for America, bro. That's unfucking acceptable. How is this so
you can't
bad?
make that shit up. That's real. That's real. So
I have a
Cannot
problem with
believe
you not
this.
I'm sorry. Could you imagine if that was the case with Qatar? Is it North Carolina? Okay. Good job. Somebody clocked it in the chat.
in America first. But I want to go back to this. If they give $6 billion, you think they're dumb that they're just giving $6 billion to universities? You don't think they want things in return?
No, I
you
think
don't
everyone.
They
I think you made that point earlier. There are many lobbies trying to get their way. I'm not disputing that there are many lobbies. In fact, I'm the one who says let's not treat the lobby as a unique lobby. People are like, oh my God, APAC. I always say APAC, NRA,
Great. All of them.
Big Pharma, all of these people.
All of them.
I want to get money out of politics. I'm on the
do
left.
as well.
I'm a Bernie, Elizabeth Warren.
I want to get money out of politics.
Let's get rid of
and I'm not on
Citizens
the
United.
left.
Yeah, Citizens United,
Yeah.
West Supreme Court decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so, but let me come back to your direct point about influence. I'm not disputing that they're spending money, they're lobbying, everyone's doing it. I'm saying it's winning. And the evidence is what's happened.
See, I'm saying is losing.
Israel is losing.
Not
Why
only
you-
do I have a kid in college, I have multiple Muslim friends, leftist friends with kids in colleges.
kids are now Jewish?
I have kids who've been arrested.
Yeah.
I have kids who've been doxxed. I know kids who have been suspended. I know kids who've been expelled because of their criticism of it. I watched a video of Rumeysa Öztürk, a young Turkish student at Tufts, be picked up by 8 ICE agents and detained because she wrote an op-ed in her student paper saying we should divest from Israel. Marco Rubio had her detained for a year. Right? So don't tell me that Qatar is winning this argument. Qatar is not winning the argument on capital.
Thank you very much.
There you go. There you go.
So,
or the fact that if your home is swarmed by a hurricane, but you said
That's
something
so-
negative about Israel in the last 2 years, you don't get any money for it.
Just a
This law, it's fucking unacceptable. How the fuck is that a thing? It should not be a thing.
The last 3 years is a complete denial.
I get your argument, but I would dispute it in the following way. Everybody is trying to win influence. Everybody.
Agreed.
And they're spending money.
True, but only one
Yes,
party really
but there's only
has it.
one. There's
Doesn't matter what
one
it
party
is,
that has everything.
But the question is, whose money is working and who's not? The part where I go that's not working is, do you think popularity in America has increased or decreased in the last 5 years?
Because
the popularity has decreased, but the support is the same.
That's a different argument. That's because people saw a genocide live stream to their phones, right? And you can't buy your way out of it.
It's more than that's one of it.
That's one of the big issues.
Oh, it's one of the bigger issues, but
That's the largest issue. Everything else takes a very wide back seat. It's the largest issue. The situation of Gaza, without a doubt, is the main reason why people are upset with it.
Yeah.
You don't kill 70,000, 80,000 plus non-armed, non-combatant civilians.
And 50% are kids, by the way.
And just get away with it. So
more than that. So whatever they did, like even when Charlie Kirk, the letters came out when he was having a conversation with Bibi, and I don't know if it was the 7 things he wrote, the 6 things. Do you remember that when he wrote a letter? I don't know if you remember.
I talk about it all the time. Charlie Kirk's letter to Netanyahu.
But that or
I
not.
wasn't
That
a
he asked him win the media war.
big Charlie Kirk reader. You'll be shocked to hear.
Yeah, well, you would have liked him. It was a special.
No,
guy.
he didn't like me. He wanted me deported.
I
He called for me to be.
Bro, immediately.
Patrick McDavid trying to bridge the gap. I think that you would have liked Charlie
No,
Kirk.
he
was
would
a good
not.
guy.
He
Okay?
would not.
I think he was an influential guy. I think you guys would have agreed on a lot, actually. No, he would have had me deported, actually. It's like,
Immediately.
bro, give it up.
Immediately.
Why are you trying to bridge that gap? Like, Mehdi Hassan and Charlie Kirk are so widely opposed on a spectrum. It's actually laughable.
Deported from this country because he's such a free speech champion. He was.
So what was his reason for it?
Because I
What-
said something about COVID that he didn't like.
What did you
on
say about
MSNBC.
COVID?
Something about the whole school. My position on lockdowns, vaccines, whatever it was. He didn't like it, but instead of debating me on it, he said, "Who's this guy? He should be deported from the country."
Bruh.
Hey, that's not
Freedom of speech,
funny.
by the way. Freedom of speech, by the way.
That's crazy.
Freedom of
That's
speech, by the way.
crazy. Niggas just see a brown guy and say deport him. I don't agree with that. That's not cool. That's
Yeah,
not
freedom
cool.
of speech,
Get
by
out.
the way, guys.
Can
Freedom
you
of
tell me
speech.
specific what it was, Rob?
Rob
can
can pull it up.
You
There's a-
find
there's a
out?
lot of-
Now, if you said something crazy on Twitter
Hold
and
on,
he
hold on.
responds back
Even
to you,
hold on. Even if I said something crazy,
He
the
can
First
say
Amendment
crazy too.
First Amendment doesn't cover
but his
crazy.
First Amendment he can also say that.
But
That's
you
part
think
of
we
his
should
First
threaten people with deportation?
I don't know. You said some crazy What did you say?
No, I didn't say anything crazy. I'm just saying, even let's say I did say something crazy.
No, but even
if
let's just
I
say
didn't
he
say anything
said-
crazy.
But let's just say he said that. That's his freedom to be crazy.
Of course, it's his freedom.
Yeah.
I'm not going to like the guy. You're like, I would have
No,
agreed with
that's
him.
a different
That's how we
story.
got onto
No,
Kirk.
I
I'm
get
like,
it.
why would I
Yeah,
agree
yeah.
with the guy who hated
No,
Islam?
you don't have to.
He hated Islam, and he wanted me deported.
That's a different story.
That's a different story.
But by the way,
Rob is fast.
Rob is fast.
We need you, Rob.
Charlie.
This is speed.
Charlie was a phenomenal guy. But let me
No, he
go
was
back
not,
to it.
bro. He was-
yeah, that's
bought-
totally
he
fine.
bought-
So, but
he
where
was
was I
bought
going
by
with
the
this? We were
fucking
talking
Zionism.
about the influence.
Let's be honest, bro.
And then we went to universities. What
Come
topic were
on.
we on? I brought up.
Nigga said deport him. Because it's just like, yo, it's so disrespectful. Like, you disagree with somebody and they're brown, you're just like, deport. It's like, all right, bro. But that's not funny because they say that, hey, they'd say that to me. They'd say that to me. No, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Look, I was not a fan of Charlie Kirk. I disagreed with him on so much, but that guy's no longer alive, so no point in attacking him.
Charlie? Rob, do you know where I was going?
You were saying talking to Netanyahu and the stuff.
Oh, yeah, when he talked to Netanyahu with the 7 points, and he said to him, he said, you're losing the kids. Whatever you're doing, the propaganda, you're losing the kids. So it's not working.
You're losing the kids.
If you say the influence of AIPAC or whatever they're spending their money to win over Congress and all these other guys,
bro, what the fuck?
Guess what happened? I think they gave money to John Cornyn. AIPAC did. He lost. He's been there for 40 plus years. Paxton won.
Yeah.
So what happened with that guy winning? He was a guy that was not even supposed to win. He had issues. Letters came out with his wife, all this other stuff. It wasn't a pretty thing. So I don't know if their influence. Don't get me wrong. When you talk about Mary, she's put up some real money there. I mean,
Trump's been very open about it.
She's put up some real money there.
And can I say, I don't think we're disagreeing that much. I think we're not actually disagreeing. I agree with you. I'm the first to say I'm very happy to see young people switching on this. I never thought a day would come in my lifetime where polls showed that the American public supports Palestine more than Israel, which we're now seeing from Pew and Gallup. That's an amazing change in public opinion for people like me. But what I'm trying to say to you is all of that is valueless, worthless. Why the AIPAC calculation might make sense to AIPAC is, well, who cares what public opinion say? It is short term, but if we can control, but they don't think long term.
No.
Maybe the Chinese do.
Let's take a look at that. Pew and Gallup, it says here, recent polling from Pew Research Center and Gallup highlights a historic shift in public opinion with global and U.S. sentiments trending more favorably towards Palestinians and increasingly unfavorable towards the government. U.S. sympathies Gallup, a landmark Gallup poll, showed that 41% of Americans sympathize more with Palestinians compared to 36% who sympathize more with it. This marks the first time in 25 years of tracking that Palestinians surpassed in U.S. public sympathy.
Want to create your own private AI virtual agent?
Get the fuck out of here, you dumb bitch. Go back to the fucking kitchen, you shit bitch, bro.
Learn more on the site.
This is so great, bro. Thank you, YouTube. Thank you for letting me be able to watch a fucking ad for 10 seconds. It used to be 5 seconds, but now it's 10 for some reason. Thank you, YouTube. Dog shit Zionist fucking app. Inside. Thank you, bro.
Short term.
No, talking is...
Okay.
I'm talking about those who wanted to make sure, like, whatever their belief is, whatever your belief is, folks that are not, right?
Yes.
And hey.
Yeah, they've not won hearts and minds.
But, like, Patrick, what are you? He's, like, not clear on his position.
We agree on that.
Oh, no. I think, I go to schools and I talk to kids. First thing I ask is, who do you watch? Used to be Charlie Kirk. Who is it now? Really? What's your position with it? Oh, boom. I mean, it's like zero to anger towards this. So guess what that means? Whatever the propaganda was, correct or not, it worked for those that are.
But guess what's
They've
scary?
made a lot of progress.
Guess what's scary?
What's
when
that?
the side hear you say that, when they see the numbers of people watching Candace Owens or Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes, God help us, when they hear that, they don't go,
bro's mad.
We need to work harder to win hearts and minds. What they say is, we need to crack down on democracy and free speech.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way we stay in power. That is why you have Peter Beinart, my good friend, who used to be a hardcore Zionist, now a liberal.
Or set up a system to where the United States can never resist it again. And that's really what it seems like they're working towards.
That works anymore.
Peter makes the point that
because Candace still has her platform. Tucker still has his platform. They're on YouTube. You know, so I'm not sure if that's actually the move there. I would disagree. I'd push back on that. I would say it's not censorship. It's actually just setting up a system to where they can get what they want despite public opinion. I think that's what it really is.
There's more, honestly, now how I see things, how they're going, it's probably what it is. Yeah, I do agree with that. They're getting to a point where it doesn't matter if people think like this. They have seeds everywhere, so it's done. It's over.
Groups in this country allying with the right. Traditionally, American groups have been
ADL,
pro-Democrat, liberal,
yeah.
but now they're allying with Trump and MAGA.
I'm not saying censorship is not an element of their strategy, of their strategic campaign, but I just don't think it's as strong as it was back in 2017, 2018. Those were times where these topics would get you destroyed, no questions asked. And we're living in a much different time now.
Because they see a way of suppressing speech and joining with authoritarian forces because they can't win the argument fair and square.
I think that's a mistake.
It is a mistake.
But
that's what they're doing. Jonathan,
I understand that. But what I'm saying to you is it's very important to win over the kids. Very important to win over kids. And when I see China, Qatar putting that kind of money in schools,
Bro, again,
their
with this,
long-term thinking.
again, with this shitty ass fucking argument, bro. It doesn't matter if they're putting all this fucking money. You have no fucking influence compared to fucking Israel. Israel has so much fucking influence in America that it's getting to a point where the both militaries, Israeli and American, are fucking combined. That's a fucking problem. It means Israel, if they want to use the power and the knowledge that they are going to be obtained from this to their advantage, they can use it for no reason. That's the problem. We don't care if the other ones are fucking putting their money. It doesn't matter because they don't have the same amount of influence, the same amount of power that Israel has. That's the problem. This guy is legit dodging the fucking question, dodging the fucking subject.
Is let's win these kids over, and then let's see what happens. So
Like,
I don't
what
think
the fuck?
winning when it comes down to winning over.
Did you see the Jerusalem Post conference in New York this week?
No.
They hosted a conference that ties in with the Israeli crazy parade. They had Ronald Lauder, the Estee Lauder guy, the billionaire, giving a speech. His son-in-law is the Federal Reserve guy, Kevin Warshie. I don't remember his name.
Is he a Jew?
Ronald Lauder is a very leading figure in the American Jewish community, big supporter of Israel. He gave a speech at Jerusalem Post conference, and in that speech,
there you go.
He said that Mossad and Shin Bet, the intelligence, domestic and foreign intelligence, should be working hard to get American kids to support influence operations. Oh,
Not gonna work.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
There is this revisionist Zionist project. You must understand this. It is subtle. It's not public. It's not popular. It's not mainstream, but it is coming. And if you're reading between the lines, you can see it coming. Pay attention to Section 224. Pay attention to what has happened with Charlie Kirk and Netanyahu in their relationship before he was assassinated.
Yep.
Pay attention to the growing unfavorability of it, especially for anybody under the age of 50 in the United States.
Yep.
With all these facts existing, do you think that the PR machine and getting control over the PR machine is going to magically win back the hearts of people who just watched a country genocide Palestinians for the last 2.5 years? Still to this day, they're bombing them for no reason and killed over 100,000 innocent people, non-combatants, many of them being under the age of 18 and many of them being children. You're never going to reverse that. That's a permanent effect. As much as I
Bro.
can...
By the way, Dark. Do you hear? Are you here, right? Instagram just sent me a notification to limit, to stop. It's just so funny. Literally, Instagram just sent me a fucking notification that I need to limit my interactions with the public. I kid you not. I just got it. Guess what, Instagram? Fuck off. I will not deactivate this fucking shit. It's gonna be staying activated. It is gonna be activated for fucking ever. I want people to fucking see this shit, hear this shit, and understand this fucking shit. You can fuck off. You see that, bro? They're trying to so hard to warn me. Nah, bro. Nah. Speak the fucking truth and nothing but the truth.
Understand why somebody would say they're gonna ramp up on the
And
censorship.
gaming, of
They
course.
do, and they censor, and that's what they do. There is that element, certainly, and so I'm not denying or negating it, but there's a bigger move at play here.
It's funny how I got a warning from Instagram. Nice try, Zionists. Fuck you. I'm gonna continue.
It's a big, winding, slow swing. It's not a jab, you know what I mean? Like, it's not something quick, but it's like a very slow, winding punch. And it's like if you look between the lines, you can kind of understand that's the next play there.
Yep.
That's the next play.
openly called for it in a speech. There's a clip doing that. It's insane, right? So when you're talking about this, is what I'm saying to you. It's not that they don't know what's happening, but their solutions are so bad, crazy,
Go back to that story.
and so authoritarian.
Is losing the information war.
So they get it. They agree with you and me.
Yeah.
But their solutions are scary as shit. They're authoritarian.
It's not going to work today,
They're-
though.
I hope it doesn't work.
You know why
That's
it's not
their
going to
plan.
work? You know why it's not going to work today? Why is it not going to work? Are you with MSNBC today?
No.
Okay, where are you at?
I'm independent.
What can you talk about?
Anything I want.
Anything you want.
Yeah.
As long as you don't say something crazy that you get a strike on YouTube, you're
Yeah,
good
but
to
that's
go.
the thing, right? Look at TikTok. When Mitt Romney had Antony Blinken on stage, do you remember that famous conversation a couple of years back?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, everyone's like, oh, they're going after TikTok because of China, because of China, because of China. And Mitt Romney just sits with Blinken and says, every time I go on TikTok, you see 6 times, 7 times as many pro-Palestinian posts as posts. We got to do something about that. Blinken's nodding. I'm like, Mitt, you're not supposed to say that out loud. You're supposed to say that in a smoke-filled room. He said it on stage, right? He made it clear that the TikTok, taken over TikTok by the Ellisons and co. was always about Israel more than it was about China. And that does worry me, because you could say, oh, well, I wonder today if, God forbid, the
And this is what they always do. Trump banned TikTok for 48 hours. Remember that? By the way, I was so mad I couldn't doom scroll anymore. And he said, China, China, China.
China, China,
And it's-
China.
Sure, there's some element there, but it's like, no. You know, we know what it really is. And it's the same thing in 2017 and 2016 when Trump was getting elected. They were saying that he's doing these weird conspicuous things with China. No, it was it. So,
Israel,
you
yeah,
know,
100%.
it's always like this lie.
You can fuck off. Now, another video when we talk about the war, but we're gonna start from 0. So this is the... Gonna start...
True.
Here we go.
Netanyahu
Now here's Myron.
last week's been hilarious. Where he
Let's
screamed
go.
at him.
Oh yeah. Do you guys believe that story? I don't know.
I do.
You believe that he yelled at him?
He did he was asked at a press conference. He was like, "Yeah, I told him he was crazy."
And then Ben came.
But he did.
like,
But
it was
they
just
try to.
tactical
Axios try to
difference.
say like that he swore at him and they yelled and all this other. I don't know if that's true. I mean, like,
I think that I do believe it, because I don't think that Trump is a timid guy, and he does have an ego to the point where he'd be like, you can't tell me what to do. I'm the president of the United States and I'm Donald Trump.
Yeah.
I'm the great. I really believe he believes I'm the
this ceasefire's cooked. It's like, you know, they're not going to stop attacking Lebanon. Their casualties are high. I got some pretty trusted sources. Casualties in 3,000. They're around 3,300 as of May 29th. With Hezbollah being in the same range, around in low 3,000s. So there's no way. And they've made it the furthest it's ever made since 2006. So that campaign in southern Lebanon is not going to end anytime soon. You know, so this peace deal is like cooked. And I think Trump is kind of starting to realize, like, what are we going to...
I think Trump wants the strait closed on purpose.
You think so?
Yep. That's why he took Venezuela before he did this, because they knew.
Well, that was the plan. I think his plan was
China's cut off from half of their imports, and the U.S. they bombed the out of the drug dealers in the Caribbean because they're clearing shipping lanes for Gulf oil to leave the United States. Then they took Venezuela. Then they closed the strait. If these things were all coincidental and accident, Trump slipped on a banana peel and did a backflip.
Yeah,
so that's what I think the strategy was. The strategy was take Venezuela, create pressure on Cuba. Give it a few months. Obviously, they're going to go into an energy crisis like they are now. Go into Iran, 96 hours, bomb them, make them capitulate. They won't have the ability to close the strait because their government is going to topple. We have our Mossad operatives in there. Let's go ahead and lead a revolution. He thought it was going to get done in 96 hours. Didn't happen. This is why he had the China summit planned for late March, early April, and he ended up having to keep delaying it. Then he was going to circle back, take Cuba, have Venezuela, have Cuba, have Iran capitulate, then go to ping, hey, I control 2 countries that used to get discounted oil from, Iran and Venezuela, and Cuba, your number one intel resource, or one of your main intel resources, because Cuba is like very good for counter intel on us. One of the things that they do, they sell intel on the black market all the time. And we got Cuba as well. Let's go ahead and negotiate. That's what I think the plan was, but obviously the Iran war took a lot longer than he expected.
Right now, we're becoming one of the biggest exporters in the world. We're a net exporter for the first time since World War II, and Trump keeps yo-yoing these peace deals. He doesn't need to do this.
Yeah, the U.S. doesn't. The U.S. doesn't, or like the whole, like basically.
Yeah, we don't need the oil.
Yeah,
like, that's true. But I'm saying the peace deal, it's like every week, it's like, we're going to get it, and then it stops. We're going to get it. I wouldn't be surprised if him and his buddies are putting shorts on the market, and Trump's lying about the strait and the peace deals.
Yeah, he has been lying. He has been like.
Yeah, he wants it closed. China lost half their energy. They're on the verge of Europe and China are.
Most of their energy comes from coal. China, they're not as oil dependent as us. I think like 65 to 70% of their oil comes. Sorry, energy resources are made by coal.
But their military runs on oil.
Yeah, but like China's not out here, starting wars like we are.
No, but it does puts pressure on them when it comes to
the Belt and Road Initiative is entirely dependent on their ability to give energy to foreign countries.
Sure, but like they're still getting oil through. Iran is still letting Chinese vessels get through and getting their energy requirements met. I think this war has been like a monumental L for us from a strategic standpoint.
No sense. If this was the case, Trump would just be like, okay, we're done.
No,
well, he can't do that.
He cannot do that
because he needs a political win to save face at this point.
I disagree. He can lie.
Yeah,
he's been lying, and he keeps getting caught in it.
Like, so it doesn't matter at this point. That's what I'm saying. Like, what is the functional point of any of this? If right now he could just be like, we've negotiated terms, and so we're allowing the strait to be opened, and then just let Iran do the and take the L, but claim it's a W. They do it all the time.
He has no leverage. He has
leverage for what? For what?
Well, here's the thing with the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz might not be as important.
Hold on. Trump is keeping it closed.
No, he's not. The Iranians are.
Trump sent an armada there before the war started, and they've been turning boats away.
Okay, so
they have been.
Here's the thing: boats are still getting through. Yes, they're turning boats.
Well, I'll say that that's disputed.
Vessels are still getting through. They're still collecting money. The reason why Trump wants to straight, I know you're saying that he wants to Strait of Hormuz. I don't agree that he wants it closed. I think he wants it open.
That's why he took Venezuela, cleared the Caribbean, and began oil exports from the Gulf, because he knew the strait was going to be closed for an extended period. So he took the oil from Venezuela, and China just got cut off from half their oil imports.
No, they don't get most of their oil from.
It is half.
Yeah, it is. They don't get most of their oil from Venezuela.
I didn't say most of it half.
Yeah, well, I don't know from if it's that high. And keep in mind also, even if it is half, the majority of
it's 40 to 50% of their oil from the Strait of Hormuz.
Okay, and
from oil through the strait.
Okay, and Iran is still giving them oil, and then keep in mind that oil is the majority of their energy comes from coal, and they also have a very robust electric car program as well, so they're not as oil dependent. So even if they did get hypothetically 50% of their oil from Venezuela.
If you believe anything about what's going on in the world, this is the stated international assessment of what's going on.
You meant to say they got 50% from the Strait of Hormuz, not Venezuela. That was.
I didn't. I said that. I said the Strait of Hormuz.
But I don't know if you.
Well, he did say Venezuela. Okay,
he meant
that's fine.
The Hormuz.
The bottom line is, let's deal like besides like the little details. The reality is that the Strait of Hormuz is closed because the Iranians have closed it. We don't have the leverage to open it up the way that we think, and it's very simple.
I didn't notice he's using the new hoodie chimp out. That's okay. That's cool. That's good. That's a good.
Why not Trump just leave?
Why not what?
Why not just pull the forces out?
Why not pull? Because it would be extremely embarrassing. Because
that's not a functional reason.
He needs a political W before he leaves. The Iranians are going to continue to enrich. They're going to keep their ballistic missile program, and they're going to keep funding the proxies. And the war started because those three things were the main.
So why
issues.
doesn't Trump blow them up?
The reason why he can't blow them up is because militarily, the next escalation is blowing up desalination plants and or power plants or energy grids. If he does that, Iran is going to retaliate and hit the Gulf states with the same exact thing.
No, he can take out their. We've annihilated most of their military capabilities.
Yeah, they didn't.
No, we haven't. That's a lie.
Why?
No,
okay, then he should do it, right?
Such a lie.
If
why not
do it? Here's the thing. If he
why isn't he doing it?
Why isn't he doing it?
Yeah.
Because the retaliation to the Gulf states would be catastrophic. They would destroy desalination plants all across the Gulf. They would destroy, energy infrastructure, and that would create a global energy crisis,
Trump
even worse than we have
their missile sites
and a humanitarian crisis.
If Trump bombed Iran's missile sites,
he can't do that.
Why not?
Because there's hundreds of missile cities all across Iran. They're dispersed all over the place. And you have the IRGC with their 31 different provinces, and they operate completely autonomously. And he doesn't know where all of them are. So they will still be able to launch missiles no matter what. Remember in the war in the beginning, oh yeah, we destroyed all their launchers. They only have 100 left. That's a lie.
I think it's...
The Intel community came back and said that they have well over 50% of their capabilities still there with the ballistic missile program, and that's their most dangerous component.
So my argument is that they knew this. This has been known. There are people who have come on this show and explained the functions and capabilities of Iran.
Yep, we underestimated.
They moved in.
They did know, but they underestimated.
I disagree. Trump took Venezuela before going into Iran.
Yes.
We secured the largest oil-producing country in the world for ourselves before closing 20% of the world's oil infrastructure. It's not an accident. Trump is now exporting more oil to the Gulf. It's not a coincidence.
Okay.
You're acting like all of these moves made by the Trump administration that are in line with each other are accidents, and this Iran thing is an accident.
They're absolutely accidents.
So Trump slipped on a banana peel and did a perfect backflip and landed down the stairs.
What happened? The Venezuela operation gave him an enormous amount of hubris. Netanyahu sold him a dream that you can take Iran and you will be the first president to do it. You will build your legacy. He's really big on legacy building right now. He thought he'd be able to get it done in 96 hours. He didn't realize that Iran has a mosaic defense where if you kill the supreme leader and the top 50 guys...
Why do you know that?
Doesn't matter.
The president and Pete Hegseth did not know that.
His entire intelligence community warned him of this.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Agreed. Do you think
but all of them literally warned him.
This intelligence community, they also operate somewhat independently from the president's orders, took actions prior to this?
No, because they literally told him that this is a bad idea. Even if you kill the supreme leader, you are not going to be able to effectuate the regime change that you want. You're not going to be able to topple the government the way that you want. It's not going to work. We heavily suggest against it, and he still did it because he believed in the intelligence and he thought that he would be able to get it done in 96 hours. And the Venezuela operation had him extremely cocky. And
I think what you're doing is you're shoehorning into U.S. operations that happened before Israel's involvement.
The whole reason why we attacked is because Israel's going to attack. That we literally
correct, and we had the Armada there already.
I'm sorry,
right? The Armada was already there.
Yeah, he was doing it as a show of force. But what I'm trying to say is
Trump prepared for war.
Yep.
was about to take a preemptive strike, so the U.S. got on board with their strike, but the U.S. was preparing for war with Iran. The U.S. has a chain of events from Panama to the Gulf to the Northwest Passage and Greenland that all line up with U.S. seizing global energy dominance that ends right now with the strait being closed. You're saying all of those things are accidents and coincidences.
No, I'm not disputing the fact. No. I'm not disputing the fact that that was the goal. What I'm telling you is that this war has been a quagmire in every single degree. It's been a waste. It's a bad decision, and he thought he'd be able to take Iran. I'm not disputing that why he did it.
But I'm
telling you that
I have a question.
Failure. Sure.
They took Venezuela.
Okay.
Secured Panama.
Okay. We've always been. They use U.S. dollars in Panama. I mean, we've always.
Right, but the issue was that China was negotiating for control of the Panama Canal.
Okay.
So Trump secures Panama.
Sure.
He surrounds and cuts off Cuba. He takes the Venezuelan oil.
Yep.
He's negotiating Northwest Passage control.
Okay.
The Gulf states have begun massive exporting. All of this is aligned in the Western Hemisphere with the U.S. trying to compete with OPEC.
Are you gonna go to sleep, bro? Yeah. Well, I'm gonna finish. How long is this video? I'm gonna finish these 2 videos and then I'm gonna go to sleep. Yeah, I'm gonna stay a bit longer today. It's very, like, these politics are very good. Like, they've been very, 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 very good. So I really want to continue reacting to them and shit.
See you today then.
So don't forget, today, yes, good gaming stream.
Yes.
I do need to remember to do the thumbnail and the title for later, and to remember that. But yeah, see you tomorrow, my bro.
Yes, today, but yes.
Later, more like it, yeah.
Yes. Bye.
Peace. Okay, there you go. Just me and you guys. He's gone. He went to sleep.
Then he sends an armada to the Strait of Hormuz. A war begins. He has now yo-yoed negotiations, keeping the strait closed, which provides 20% of global energy, shifting production to the Gulf, which he secured in the first place. The idea that all of that was an accident, so is all just we whoopsied in Iran, makes no sense.
Let me make sure I understand your argument. Are you saying that Trump purposely wants to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed?
Yes.
No. Absolutely not. Absolutely.
Give me an argument.
Well, absolutely not.
Give me an argument.
If he, we're gonna say?
Oh, that.
No. Whoa.
Okay.
I asked for I asked for an argument.
Yeah.
I asked for an argument, not just saying no, and then Ian jumped in.
Yeah. So you're saying that he's purposely closing the Strait of Hormuz?
Yep.
No, he's not.
Okay, now what's your argument?
So number one, our allies are panicking. Okay. Obviously, everyone in the Gulf, we've destroyed. Iran destroyed the LNG.
Which
20%?
allies?
I'm sorry?
Which allies are freaking out?
Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, UAE, Oman.
So let's
all of them
pause real quick and put it. So I hear what you're saying about the panic.
Yep.
And now I'll just go back to I have already addressed Trump's intention was to choke out those energy producers and shift global energy to the Gulf, which he did before the war started. So closing the strait does them over. That's what I'm arguing.
Yeah, it does. But here's the thing. It also, it hurts our allies. It hurts Japan. It hurts all of Asia. Okay. And on top of that, we can have all the oil we want. Trump can do, we wanted to seize control. Brent crude has been sitting at like the hundreds plus. Before the war, we were sitting at like.
And what did I
$70.
say 5 minutes ago? Trump is shorting the oil as he yo-yos negotiations and the prices going up and down.
Okay.
Enriching him and the.
So let's just create the biggest energy crisis ever.
Yeah.
And have Americans pay double for gas.
Yep.
Increase food prices. How's that America first?
Cutting. Who said anything about America first? What are you arguing?
He's the president of the United States. He should be. That's what I'm trying to tell you. This war is a strategic failure. It doesn't benefit Americans whatsoever.
We never made an argument on America first. The argument is Trump has recentered global energy production to the U.S. Gulf, which he renamed. He's done everything seemingly in alignment with shipping oil from the Gulf to the rest of the world. And he OPEC and the allies in the region, and China 40 to 50% of their oil imports.
Okay. So,
all of that.
So you think that was worth diplomacy, getting our bases destroyed?
I did not argue any of that. My argument is Trump took a series of actions before the war started. Currently, he is not negotiating in any meaningful way to open the strait. He's maintained an armada there to turn ships back. So when you look at all of the actions he took, facts: Venezuela, Cuba, Northwest Passage, Panama,
and I'm saying that's
oil
retarded.
exports.
And I'm saying that's
all
retarded.
That's fine.
That is absolutely
My argument
retarded.
is that it's not that he's smart.
Okay.
I called him a when he posted a picture of himself as Jesus.
Yeah.
I am saying all of these actions align specifically. And then when you look at the Strait and Trump's negotiations being not meaningful in any real way, the only logical conclusion is they want the Strait closed.
Well, they were planning invasion of Iran. No, it's that they were planning it and they wanted to win, but then when they realized they couldn't take it, they're like, well, least worst outcome now, we just sit here and blockade this because we can't get our objective.
So again, when we're talking about the probabilistic nature of these actions, when we are talking about a series of manila folders in front of us, and we are trying to take a look at the history of events that the Trump administration and the Department of War have taken, there is a 56.7% probability that the intention is to keep the Strait closed. Everything else is minor probabilities that don't align with the actions we have seen. If you take a look at what Hegseth has advocated for, so it's like, why did they start blowing up cartel ships in the Caribbean? Weird, right? I mean, they made an argument about ending narco-terrorism. Oh, it could be that we are now exporting more oil through the Gulf than we ever have in the history of this country. And they needed to clear the lanes and get rid of narco-terrorist elements that would obstruct oil tankers. Why did they seize the Venezuelan tankers? Why did they chase after the Iranian tankers to sanction oil? Every single thing since the start of the Trump administration has been around boosting U.S. energy production and oil production and securing our ability to export it, even renaming the Gulf of America. Now, putting all of that in a list of things Trump has done as facts that he has done, regardless of his motivation, we have an armada sent to the Strait of Hormuz. A war breaks out, agreed, pressured the initial confrontation, but the armada was already there, and the refueling tankers and planes that were shipped before the war started into Europe, which had everybody saying, holy shit. Then Trump says, we're going to negotiate. And then he doesn't. And then a week later, we are close to a deal, and then there isn't one. And then a week later, we're close to a deal, and then there isn't one. And now for 2 months, Trump has yo-yoed back and forth claiming, trust me, I'm trying to get it done. When you line all those things up, you are looking at a picture that has been painted.
Okay.
To argue anything else is to ignore literally every action taken.
Fuck you at Netanyahu if he was getting his wish. He's obviously in a situation he doesn't want to be in.
That's because of the bombing of Lebanon.
Yeah, because he can't get the peace deal because he wants to reopen global trade.
And you argued that was bull.
No, I am saying that this war is it's not a good idea. I see what you're saying. You're saying, well, hey, he's doing all this stuff, etc. None of that is America first. None of it is strategic.
Never argued it was America first. Never argued it was a good idea.
And hold on, none of it is beneficial or strategic or anything like that. And also, there's no. He's not purposely keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed. He needs a political win. He needs a political win before he leaves, whether it's zero enrichment, them opening up the strait, etc. He absolutely has a vested interest in it because our allies are literally losing their minds, and he has the global market in the worst energy crisis ever. So, like, he does want the Strait of Hormuz closed, but he's not willing to do what's required to actually open up the strait right now, and he's suffering for it. And he thought that
I agree with that. Now, why isn't he?
What was that?
I agree. He's not willing to do what needs to be done to open the Strait of Hormuz. The question is why.
He doesn't want. He wants to save face. 100%.
But so here's the problem I have with that. I have given you a series of mathematical, economic, and geopolitical reasons why not just Trump, but the United States government and Department of War would take an action. And your argument in turn, which is acceptable if that's your argument, I disagree with you. Your argument is Trump's got an emotional issue.
Well, yeah, he can be. It's not just an emotional issue; it's a political thing too. If he walks away from this, because here's the thing.
Well, what does he need to win for? The midterms are procedural at this point, and he can't run for re-election again.
He has an ego. I think we can all agree that he has an ego. And then also on top of that, it's about power, projection of power, right? Our entire military infrastructure is based on projecting power. If we leave now with our bases destroyed in the region, them controlling the Strait of Hormuz, them being able to toll.
Honestly, they both have really good arguments. It's very hard to like. It's a hard one. This is a hard one.
To get money from the vessels that go through, it's an enormous declaration of a victory. Also, this is their warfare. This is their game. They're running an asymmetric warfare. So if Trump leaves right now, it's going to be a huge political loss, and it's going to destroy his legacy and make him look horrible. So so he can't.
Conversely,
he can't leave.
There is but
he wants to leave.
An image issue. You would argue a projection issue.
There's a projection issue.
I would argue that there is a functional advantage. And the functional argument, I think, takes probability over perceived PR issues. The functional issue is that China was on track to overtake the United States 10 years ago. It was projected at 2027. Now it's projected to be somewhere around 2038. And every week, every month, this continues, and China's been cut off from their oil imports. They push back the time frame by which China would overtake the U.S. In fact,
bro, this is so hard because I do believe that he's right. I do believe that he's right, but the camera is a bit odd. Sorry, guys. Like, I do believe that he's right, but I also do believe that Myron's right. Fuck, this is a hard conversation.
Xi Jinping,
China's still getting their
press
oil.
conference where he said,
Still getting it from Iran. They're still getting it from Russia. They're not as oil dependent as we are.
They're not getting it from this. They're not. They've lost 40 to 50% of their imports. This is a fact. This is, if we believe anything about the war, then this is part of the global assessment as to what is going on, resulting in.
I agree with you that the goal was to try to weaken China.
Threatened the United States with World War III when she said, "I hope the U.S. can avoid Thucydides' trap." Which was a statement to Trump, to which Trump responded, he certainly must not have meant what he meant, because the statement was, we will overtake the United States, and if the only thing you can do to stop us is declare war. That's what Xi Jinping told Donald Trump when he publicly stated that.
When was this?
This was, last month. He said, I hope...
During the summit meeting?
It might have been. He said, I hope the United States can avoid Thucydides' trap. Thucydides' trap is that when a rising economic power... displaces the dominant one, war breaks out. He was saying to the United States, your choice now is surrender.
Oh, or he could have been like, I hope that we can overcome.
Yeah, that's why
a conflict.
Saying
more about we should be working together.
Knowing what Thucydides' trap is, and then telling the dominant
this
power,
is a good conversation.
We are going to supplant you. He is saying, back the fuck off. He's saying, bend the knee. We take over the global economy, and you off. That's what he said.
Okay, look.
Listen. Let me phrase it again. He said very gentlemanly. He said, Mr. President Trump, the rise of China is inevitable. Your choice is to decide not to go to war with us when we win. That's what he said. How should the United States accept that statement? You're right, China. You will displace us economically, and we will refuse to fight about it.
What Tim's saying does line up with what the Chinese diplomats were saying to Blinken when they met in Alaska. He said, "You are not in a position. You're not in a position of power." China really did think that the United States was a paper tiger that the U.S. didn't have.
Well, we've kind of been exposed as somewhat of a paper tiger. We literally can't defend our allies. Our bases are destroyed. Like this war, like. I see what you're saying. You're saying, hey, there's some functionality here from this conflict where we are starting to get some level of energy dominance. Fine.
And Trump fought over our European and allies a long time ago.
You can make that argument, but my argument to that is that functionality does not justify the political, diplomatic, and economical quagmire that we've created, and it's a foolish war that doesn't benefit us in the long term. Americans are paying double for gas. Americans are struggling to pay for food.
And Trump
this is not America first at all.
Trump does not care.
This is a war. Right now. This is a Jewish war. It's bad.
That's where you've lost it.
It is a Jewish war.
It's not.
No one benefits from this conflict except for.
But everybody,
we do not benefit from this conflict whatsoever.
But stopping China from rising internationally benefits the United States.
And also,
if he had accomplished the plan fully and taken Iran like he had planned in 96 hours, and he had been able to,
no, that's not the argument.
And then come back and have
the
Cuba,
longer China's
that was the goal.
Energy, the more they get depressed and the more we grow. We are selling oil. We have become the dominant global power. Didn't Qatar? Which country just dipped from OPEC? They quit OPEC. Trump has UAE.
Yeah.
OPEC and cut China off, and China is distressed while the U.S. has become the largest energy exporter. It's bad. Trump's not going to come out and say, the United States worker over. He's not going to come out and say, I intentionally spiked gas prices to China, because the average person doesn't understand that. And I'm not saying it's a proven fact that it will be good. I'm saying you can see what has been done and it lines up.
If China was as dependent on oil as we were, I would say that's a great strategy, but they are not. They use a lot of coal. They use a lot of solar power. They invest heavily in renewable energy. Like, they are not as oil dependent as we are, and they're still getting oil.
We got one more caller. Good convo, by the way.
This is honestly, I think it's a tough one, because I see Tim's side. Like, I understand, it makes sense, but at the same time, Myron, like, bro, it's fucking Trump. We know how he is. Like, it seems like they are both right at the same time. It's very hard. It's a very good conversation. It's very hard. Very hard.
Yeah, no. We do have one more call. Shay, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, if people want base political takes, they can follow me on X.
Shay, who's on the line?
Gregory.
We got one more call.
Look, baby, I found a case of canned goods.
Bro, what the fuck?
What are you doing?
Why do you keep showing me this? Why are you showing me this?
Oh, save it, loser. Canned food? What a joke.
Canned food? Please. I automated our agriculture days ago. I'm already level 1.
Like, what the fuck is this
my
dog
bad, bro. I
shit?
didn't realize that you were on the call the whole
Yes,
time.
algorithm, bro.
I heard you laughing a little bit.
No, by the way, great debate, guys.
Yeah, that was
Really nice to hear conversation about this. Yeah, follow me on X. Gregory C is in Cat Landers. Yeah, on Twitter.
Landers.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks for calling in, brother. And last but not least, to the very last minute, Slick. What's up?
What's up, Slick?
Hey.
Hi.
What's up, you guys? I'll try to keep it as fast as possible. My question is for Myron
do you think?
Gaines. Tim has argued that people have IDS. I've heard you argue that as a people have strong in-group preference, believe they're superior to others, desire supremacy on the world stage, and will lie and commit violence to achieve their goals. Those same critiques can be leveled against Islam. What is your response to that?
Well, here's the thing. When I'm talking about, you can make those are fair arguments, right? But I'm not an Islam apologist. When I talk about power, etc., I'm referring to the fact that we have the state of it, who runs our foreign policy, runs our censorship program here in the United States, and they have an enormous amount of representation despite being a small minority of the population. So look, I'm not going to sit here and be an apologist for Islam. Both religions have their issues, but let's be honest here. Zionism is rooted in Judaism, which inherently purports supremacy and being the God's chosen people. It's not inclusive like Christianity and Islam. You can say the Shahada and become a Muslim. You can believe Christ is your God and Savior and become a Christian. Judaism does not practice that.
Myron.
And it's an ethno-religion.
There is never, at any point, ever in history, where Israel has done something wrong.
What was a recent thing that
What the fuck?
In America, we're gonna blend their two militaries.
And also, hold on, no. And let me ask a caller, because you're asking me a question about a religion versus like a state. Are you talking about Judaism as the religion, or are we talking about? I just want to make sure I understand your question.
No, I specifically said as a people. I was watching a video of you earlier today where you were talking about it's not the Zionists, it's not the globalists, it's not the elites, it's the Jews.
Yeah, it is the.
You listed off these.
Go ahead. Keep
so all anyone who's a Jew.
No, of course not. But what I am saying is that it's not all. It's always typically, for the most part. And the thing is that everyone is too scared and too to call it what it is. Oh, Zionism. Oh, it's the globalists, it's the elitists. 9 out of 10 times it's. That's what it is. People don't like hearing that. It comes off as up. But we must understand that supremacy does play a significant role. The tribalism plays a significant role. The religion plays a role. And any group of people that walks around and says, "Oh, we are God's chosen people," they're inherently going to have, a certain behavior pattern where they're going to put each other first in that tribalism. This is why they can bomb Palestinians all day with
Are
not really giving
God's chosen people? Honest question. I don't like. Do Christians feel that they are?
It depends on how you feel, but I think it's important to realize that Islam does not practice the same level of supremacy that Judaism does.
I would completely disagree with it.
Because it's inclusive, unlike Judaism is exclusive.
Right. But I would just argue they're different things, right? Like Muslims will just slit your throat if you're in their country and you don't, if you're an apostate, they'll kill you. So they want everyone to convert, whereas you don't.
Revert, I think, is a term.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
hey, again, what is this? Oh, sorry, this plan. It's okay. There's a military plan in Congress looking to be advanced called from Section 224 of the proposed National Defense Authorization Act called the United States Defense Technology Cooperation Initiative, where they say they're planning to deeply integrate the U.S. and militaries.
Yeah, it was a couple days ago. Yeah.
Well, I think the most important thing we can do as Americans is send our children to die for Islam. And so, no dual citizenship should be allowed in government. No American citizen should be allowed to serve in a foreign military, even if they're dual citizens. None of that should be allowed, and that bill should be thrown in the trash.
But no, caller, to fully answer your question, bro, I think there is a serious problem. You might go ahead and call it derangement syndrome or whatever, but whatever.
No, I don't think he's calling that.
Okay. Yeah, but I do think that there's a fifth column that we just simply don't want to acknowledge until as of recently, and it took a genocide in Gaza for us to wake up to it. But yeah, dude, they have an enormous. I mean, they just got Thomas Massey out of his own district, and like they spent $30 million on that.
Trump,
dude, there's less than 1% population in that district.
Cornyn was the AIPAC candidate. They beat him.
Who was that?
Cornyn was the AIPAC back candidate.
Was this out of the one that you were talking about, the election out of that you were just talking about?
This was Texas.
Oh.
The Texas Senate race, the AIPAC back candidate lost. Trump backed Paxton against the AIPAC candidate.
Okay, but Paxton is also pro. So it's like what my argument is like when they're not pro, right? Like Cori Bush or Thomas Massey or the other guy, I forget his name. I mean, we're talking about
Bush was an.
that's not my point.
She was she hated it.
My point is that they spent I think $12 or $13 million to make sure that she lost. They spent $30 million on Massey. They spent the other politician, I forget his name, but they spent like $20 million on
Bowman?
Gates. Bowman, thank you, Bowman. They spent $20 million on Bowman. So like, look, we can have these, and here's the thing, just so the people, I'm not even religious. Like when I make these arguments that I make, I typically try to stay away from theology, but I do think it's important to understand that when it comes to supremacy and Judaism in general, it's a religion of supremacy, and that is baked into the political ideology of Zionism, and no one wants to address that because it's considered anti-Semitic.
But who cares about supremacy? Like why?
Oh, why care about it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, because that supremacy is what leads to the things that they do, whether it's them relentlessly bombing and starting wars.
I don't give a shit about Gaza.
That's fine. You don't have to.
I give as much a shit about like Gaza and the West Bank as I do about like Tibet, Burma, the Uyghur Muslims. All of it's bad. I condemn all of it. But like my argument is we should not be involved. We shouldn't be funded.
I agree. So we shouldn't be giving them money. We shouldn't be giving them diplomatic cover. We shouldn't be giving them aid.
Yeah.
We should be. And here's the thing. It's because we give them all this support that they're able to act in a rogue state and do the crazy stuff that they do because they have all this
drags us in.
That too. I mean, the Iran war, Netanyahu basically came in with two plans. Hey, we're going to attack this way by ourselves, or you guys are going to join us. But we basically got strong-armed into having to join because
I feel similarly with Ukraine as well.
That works too.
Right, we're effectively.
I am against all conflict. Like I think foreign wars are the worst thing ever. They don't benefit us. They only hurt us. And I see your argument where you're making the argument like, hey, look. I think he's keeping the Strait of Hormuz closed because there's functional benefits to it for,
he's
dominating energy.
The East.
Dominating energy. My argument to that is, right, I understand your perspective. My argument to that is that functionality is not worth all the other negative ramifications that have come from this conflict.
Some foreign wars are good for your country if you, say you arm one side just enough to start the war, and then they go into war and both sides kill each other to death. Then you go in and conquer both of them.
When I say foreign wars, I mean more along the lines of us fighting the war, but you're saying like proxy warfare. Even that, man, we're getting into an age where we live in a multipolar world now. Like the unipolar world that we had in the 1990s, where we were coming in and we got Saddam out of Kuwait and everything else like that. Like I think diplomacy is the new route. I don't think foreign wars is the way to go. I like what China's doing. China is building infrastructure, being pragmatic partners. They're winning influence by investing versus dropping bombs on people. And I think
they're going to war. They're just doing
foreign policy. I think our style of foreign policy is dated.
China is using psyops and manipulation.
Sure, but I think that's better.
Soft power.
I think that's better than dropping bombs. You know what I mean?
Soft power is.
And let me be clear about this. All the guys that say like, "Oh, Myron, you criticize it." You want to know why? Because I am very I don't like China either. Like I watch China. I see that they're rising. I don't want them to rise. And I look at the wars in the Middle East. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Like we should be focusing on China. We should be focusing on Russia. We need to make sure that we are. We want to be as close as possible to the main power. And we bog ourselves down in these conflicts, and I'm like, what are we doing? And it's because of the China. That's why I have such an issue with it, is because it keeps our eyes off of what really needs to be focused on. That's why.
I'm with you with diplomacy, but it's just about data, or it's about resource aggregation. If we can get resources to where they need to go fast, we can have diplomacy.
Yeah, and I think I think that we can. So all the problems in the Middle East come down really to one issue, the Palestine question, which Israel's been trying to avoid a million times with the Abraham Accords, getting around things. And if we can figure out this Palestine question, everything else is going to fall in line. There's no need for proxies anymore. There's no need for Iran having a nuclear weapons program. There's no need for all these conflicts. We can probably iron something out, bring them back into the global market, and everyone makes money. So I'm for diplomacy first. And I think war is at this point, it's a dated, it's a non-strategic W, because the
They're
reality
retarded.
is you cannot escalate to a certain point. Like right now, like you said, why don't we just bomb them? Well, the reason why is because if we destroy power plants to go to the next step, they're going to destroy allies in the Gulf, and we're going to have a.
I don't think Trump cares about them.
I got one challenge for you.
Honestly, I do believe
time,
that as well.
And I promise you'll understand.
I don't think
he does,
they
dude.
cares.
He does. They remember his Kushner, Witkoff, all these guys have significant business interests in the Gulf. His whole family has a significant interest in the Gulf.
Fair point. We are over though. So Slick, do you wanna add anything or shout anything out?
Yeah, I mean, well, there's a couple things that you said there as far as the exclusivity argument or whatever. But like, you said you're not a religious person, or you're not Muslim anymore, or you are?
No, I am Muslim, right? I'm not going to denounce the religion, but that does not like really shape my political worldview. Like I am very critical of Islam. Like when they pray in Times Square, I'm like, that's fine. Like I'm not a Muslim apologist by any means. When I give my takes, 9 out of 10 times is based on, just pure, political, geopolitical situations. I don't really bring theology too much into it, but I do think, in certain situations, it is important to bring it in for context. So like when I talk about Zionism, if we're going to be real, Zionism is rooted in supremacy, was based in Judaism.
Right, but so what you're saying is that there can be different groups or different sects, or we could judge it by individuals. It's not just the.
Well, of course, like there's always going to be some level of individuality, right? I'm speaking generally here, but like for example, some of the most prominent people that have exposed the crimes of it have been Jews. You know what I mean? So like this isn't like I mean, there's obviously nuance here, but what I am saying is that it's important to note that supremacy is a very important topic that no one wants to really deal with, and it shapes foreign policy, it shapes the mindset, it shapes the way that they engage.
I want to wrap it, but supremacy freaks me out. Like they say white supremacy. I'm like, yo, bro, any race supremacy is a big problem. It causes genocide. It's crazy. So
well, that's what it is.
Is literally the term supremacy like baked into some text somewhere?
That's literally what it is, because and I hate to use this term, but they are literally an apartheid ethno state. So like they are, they must maintain a majority. So they literally are the definition of.
I think that's a good thing.
For them to have their own state, or
yeah, I think it's good that Japan did it for a long time. I think it's bad that Japan opened the door to a bunch of Indians and third worlders and our women. So I have no problem with Japan being for the Japanese. You know what I mean?
Sure, no problem.
There's questions,
but that's not their land. Like they stole that land. Like I mean,
from who?
From the Arabs. I mean, think about this.
But this is the question of Levant. It's like every group that took it from each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it just goes back forever.
Yeah, sure. But like, I mean, let's be honest here. Who's the prime minister of Israel? Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu is Polish. How's a Polish guy literally running the country and telling the indigenous people, get the fuck out of here?
Polish?
Yeah, he's Polish, yeah.
Didn't know that.
And every prime minister's been.
We are way over though.
But that's fine. We went way over. My bad.
No, it was fun. It was good. Like, we only had 3 callers, but we made it into a great long conversation, debate about conflict and war, so it worked out really well. Slick, you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, man. Check me out. Oh, go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry. My bad, caller. Go ahead.
Now you're taking my name.
No, sorry, dude.
You're both slick.
Hey, bro, that was a good conversation. I see both arguments, and I see that they're both right. Like, but the thing is, it's so complicated because you see how things are going. You have some theories, you have some things that are going through, and things are happening. No one really knows what's going on in the war. No one really knows. There's a bunch of things that could be connected. It's very difficult to understand which one is right and who are right, which argument is stronger. It's very difficult.
It's a big reason
that
why
was a
men
good,
get
but
hurt
that
by
was a good conversation. That was a good
relations
conversation.
ending
Very
war,
good.
because for a lot of guys that might be brilliant, high IQ, etc., one of the few things they can't conquer is like understanding female psychology. A lot of guys after a bad breakup, they thought they did everything right, they did what they were told was right, and then after the breakup, they're like, I can't figure this out, and this is what leads guys to self-deletion potentially.
Breeds obsession.
Exactly, because they're like, I figured everything else out. Why can't I figure out women? And
Never
the things we've been told about women is completely counterproductive to what they're actually aroused by.
All right, let's get the news. We got this one from the New York Post. Nithya Raman's appalling tantrum after LA mayoral flop. Okay, the first thing we got to talk about is tremendous victory for the Republicans in LA and in California statewide. Steve Hilton is the front runner for the governor's race. He'll move to a runoff. Spencer Pratt is in second place. He's currently up 7.1 points. So Nithya Raman is starting to close the gap a little bit. Only 62% of the votes are in. And the most important thing you need to understand is that California has election month, and they say they will not know the results for weeks. My argument is because they're rigging the election. They want to slowly count the ballots and make sure they can eliminate votes for the Republicans. But in the meantime, Spencer Pratt had a tremendous showing. People are screaming and cheering. They're super excited. Hilton is in first place for the governor's race. And in response, I actually couldn't believe this when I was told this. When the boys were like, hey, you know, Nithya Raman was crying. I was like, she's crying? She's an adult woman. What is she crying for? Oh, I was wrong.
Too many ideas, too many tasks, zero focus.
Well, he does
Here's how
so
to break
shit,
the
bro.
cycle.
Their children.
I've been a candidate for something as long as you can remember. And you've had to live through it with me. And you've been so patient through all of it. Thank you. Karnan Kaveri, I hope you know that everything every person in this room is fighting for in this campaign has been about building a city that's worthy of you and every child in this city.
Oh no. Oh no, she's crying. Quick, burn the Constitution.
Yeah, I'm okay with a little bit of emotion. I mean, Jordan Peterson does it well. If you're really
No, he doesn't. He does not do it well.
It's nice to see a grown man be, not close off.
Oh, it's cringe. It's off-putting.
Depends on when you do it. It's off-putting for people to be constantly just shut off to their emotions as well. What's that?
He does it all the time.
Sometimes he does it. He's not that extreme. But anyway, this girl, that her voice was shrill. It was annoying. I don't know what she was crying about. I mean, she lost. I don't think maybe she was sad because she lost.
I'm sorry.
Chilling. That's different than loving your wife so much that it brings you to tears.
Did you see that video where the female members of Congress were like, my menstrual pain is so intense, I deserve time off from work?
Yeah, I mean, this is what happens. It's a disease called KAS, kitchen abandonment syndrome. When women aren't in the kitchen long enough, they end up crying and doing weird
I
things.
think that her menstrual cycle would be painful whether she was in the kitchen or out of it.
It'd be less painful when she's in the kitchen. There's actually studies out there that show the closer you are to a stove, the less it hurts during your period.
There might be something.
No, to be fair, there's a hot bath, wine, and a nice book, and that's why. But it's funny because you're making a joke and you're like, I should be in the kitchen, but she's asking to be.
I don't think he's joking.
No. I mean, it's a half joke. It's meant to be humorous. The point is, she's agreeing with you.
Yeah.
She's saying, I want to be home because my hoo-hoo hurts. Now, this is the issue I take with Nithya Raman crying. Listen, man. Women can do certain jobs. Like, if there's a 6'7" behemoth of a woman who talks like this, and she's like, I'm gonna be a firefighter, I'd be like, okay. Like, I always make the joke that if I'm in a burning building and I'm like gagging for air on the ground and I'm like, I'm not gonna make it, and the door busts open, I don't care if it's a man or a woman. I want to see a 6 foot tall, glistening, sweaty, oiled hunk of muscle. And like the last thing I want to see is a 110-pound woman soaking wet, being like, I can't pick you up. You're going to die. So if that turns out to be a 6'5" behemoth of a woman who's like, I'll carry you out, I'd be like, yes, awesome. But I got to be honest, that's not likely. That's just not likely. So truth be told, every man would prefer to see, for the most part, a ripped Arnold, glistening, sweaty guy being like, I'm going to pick you up and carry you to safety. You'd be like, save me. Like you're burning to death. I don't care. I don't want to see a frail woman. Anyway, like my point is this. Holy Nithya Raman crying over losing this race.
Well, I've asked women this question on my show as well, and I say, look, if you call 911, you're at the worst moment in your life. What do you want? Who do you want to walk through the door? And every single time, I want a capable man. Like it is what it is, right? Like I think it's very important that women tend to look at like the exceptions to the rule versus like the rule in general. Are there women out there that are capable of doing this stuff? Absolutely, but it's not enough of them. It's not a high enough of a percentage to like substantiate an entire society using females to do certain masculine dominated jobs.
I mean, look. Let's speaking generally, it's all correct. The issue though is, like, my point is, listen. Out of 100 guys who can lift up a person and carry them out of a burning building, there's going to be maybe one woman who can do it.
Exactly.
So that's fine for that woman to get that job.
Yeah.
And that's what it's supposed to be. If you are a She-Hulk and you want to do this job, please, you are capable of doing it. The problem is we turned that into, we have quotas now, and we're sending 5'4", 110-pound women to try and hold a fire hose, and they blast off like a rocket ship because they get launched in the air from the pressure.
went from equality of opportunity to equality of outcome. And that's the issue here. Look, if they can meet all the standards, cool, no problem. The problem is that a significant amount of them cannot. And we're watering down, our military, our firefighters, our police to meet these quotas.
I was listening to someone last night. I poured through Instagram last night, Instagram clips. But one of the guys was saying that men get a large dopamine release from solving problems. Women don't get that as far as he said, they don't get it. They get it from they get oxytocin release from like interpersonal relationships. So that's I think why they're drawn to nursing, why they're drawn to care, positions of care, where guys want to go fix the problem, put out the fire, put the wall up. And that's just general.
We have evidence to back your theory. If you look at the majority of inventions and human progression, et cetera, who's always been at the forefront of that? It's always been men. Men are deductive problem solvers. We're the explorers. We're the discoverers. Women don't have the same proclivities to go out there and explore and innovate. They just
they have babies.
It's not their biological imperative. But for men, our ability to procreate, our ability to create children and have offspring is contingent upon our productivity, which is why we're highly incentivized to go out there and be productive.
And women have babies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And they get offended by the idea, and that's the problem with modern, that women are ashamed that they have babies.
Yes.
Like women, these feminists will actually argue, like, you think women are only just having babies? And it's like, principally they are, yes. And that's a very important thing because humans don't exist without that.
And like guys,
why do you want to come into the men's space and argue with a bunch of guys anyway? I don't get it.
So one thing that's interesting, whenever I have like a panel show and I have like a girl that's like maybe a stay-at-home mom or she's in like a loving relationship, whatever, she kind of prioritizes motherhood and being for a girlfriend, and we have other girls that might be a bit more feminist or chasing a career, they'll shame her for not pursuing a career and having money and whatever. Like, what? So you're just a bum, you hang out all day? And it's like we've completely flipped it where for women the metric of success is like the masculine burner performance versus like for women it's versus these feminist women are just shaming these women for being moms, which is like what I think is the best thing they should be doing. But
it's a tough job. Maybe the hardest job on the planet.
It's a thankless job. It's a thankless job.
I still harass my mom. I called her today. Like 47 years later, I'm still calling the woman and asking for her advice.
And I'll say this too, because you mentioned like the oxytocin release, right? From like, being figuring things out and deductive problem solving. I think that's a big reason why men get hurt by relationships ending more, because for a lot of guys that might be brilliant, high IQ, etc., one of the few things they can't conquer is like understanding female psychology. So a lot of guys after a bad breakup, they thought they did everything right, they did what they were told was right, and then after the breakup they're like, I can't figure this out. And this is what leads guys to self-deletion potentially.
Breeds obsession.
Exactly, because they're like, I figured everything else out, why can't I figure out women? And what we've been told about women is completely counterproductive to what they're actually aroused by.
Never listen to a woman tell you what she wants and then think that she's telling the truth.
This is what
she doesn't have any idea.
Let me ask you this.
I disagree.
No idea.
They do, but they're not going to tell you.
Exactly. So women are not here right now. So I'll ask you guys as men what you think. I think that if a guy changes his feelings about something, he'll tell you. He'll be like, I don't feel that thing I used to anymore. Now I feel this new thing. And you'll be like, well, I see by the way you're saying it that that's true. Whereas a woman, she just starts acting different. And you're like, I better, if I'm not like paying attention, she's not going to tell me.
There's a cartoon meme that was on the front page of Reddit. And it was like a woman with like a book standing. It was like an animation, and the guy walks up and he was like, hey there, just saw you over here, thought you looked interesting and wanted to introduce myself. My name's John. Just wondering if you had any interest in ever hanging out. And she goes, no, thank you. And he goes, have a good day. And he turns on to walk off, and she goes, what, is that it? You're just gonna leave? And he goes, you said no. I'm gonna go play video games.
She's like, it's not what I said, it's how I said it. Couldn't you read between the lines?
The point is, the reason why this video went viral is because it is a trope accepted by men and women. That women will say, oh no, I'm not interested, because they want the guy to show interest. It's a test. And then you get this weird mix where obviously there are times where women really don't want a guy to do something, so they say no. But the problem then becomes a meme emerges where there are women who are saying, actually, no doesn't mean no. And then guys are like, I ain't getting anywhere near that statement.
Yep. Right. I think that comes evolutionarily from a woman that wants a guy that can read between the lines. Like, you're going to get a lot of tossed at you in the world, Ian, or whoever you are. Get ready to read through the... So if I'm telling you no in a situation, but you can tell my body language is telling you yes, you're supposed to somehow know that. And
well, I think the reason why women do this is they want to feel wanted. And I think it's also part of evolutionary psychology, where if you think about it from, go back 10,000 years, if a woman said yes to any guy who walked up, she's getting low value males. She's trying to sort out. You can't see a guy. Like, a guy walks up, maybe he's physically fit. That's points. but you can't see if he's smart and capable. So women will push back and test the man to see if he's actually valuable.
That's why social proof is so important for them. And then the other thing I will say, right, and feminists will get mad at me for saying this, but like if women were honest about, you know, their interest when it comes to arousal and romance, they would say, yeah, don't call me back. Don't pedestalize me. Always be the leader. Always make the decisions. I'm inept. I don't know what I want to eat. I'm indecisive. Like if women were actually honest about how they behave, no one would take them seriously. So they have a vested interest in lying to you, right? And selling a certain side of them that is more socially acceptable, more appealable. Like one thing about women, right? That's interesting because some guy was like, well, Myron, how can you give advice when like you're like an whatever, you're not like a nice guy. And I'm like, look, dude, what women say they want versus what they respond to are two different things. And I like to use the example of hybristophilia. Women overwhelmingly prefer bad boys, criminals, degenerates, etc. You look at like a Ted Bundy, a Richard Ramirez, a Luigi Mangione in modern times. Why are women showing up to these guys' trials in droves? These guys are like, you know, some of the most deplorable human beings. It's because women have a fascination with men that go against the grain and just kind of get it in some way. So women are never going to be honest about their sexual proclivities because it would make them look crazy. So that's why they have to say, I want flowers and a gentleman. I think respond to that favorably.
Luigi Mangione and like these murderers, the idea is they'll kill for you. Yeah. They'll kill everybody else but you. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like if you're living in the wilderness and there's bears and bad people around and you're a woman, you're like, I want my man to just massacre anybody who threatens me.
You need to be capable of violence. And obviously these murderers are like embodying that obviously illegally, but it's very important that like, you know, the things that women are aroused by and attracted to are like just not politically correct, so they can't be honest about that.
True. I mean, I kind of went silent there when it comes to feminism. I kind of went very silent in these two last videos. They were very tough conversations, and yeah, you heard both sides when it comes to Tim and the other guys and Myron. Very tough. I think they're all right at the same time, and at the same time, again, we don't really know if that's really what's true or not. Again, it's very tough. They're very, very, very tough. But again, good conversations. Honestly, those might be the best videos that I've seen when it comes to conversations. Those are very good. Those are very fucking good. When it comes to the war and feminism right there, they were very good. And I really like those. Really like those. So yeah, guys, it's the end of the stream. I don't have any more time, guys, unfortunately. It is what it is. Again, don't forget to follow me on Kick. We're trying to reach 800 followers. I would appreciate if you hit the follow button. We are trying to get verified here on Kick. So I'd appreciate it if you participate in the stream by talking in chat, watching the stream, dropping a sub, so we can be one step closer towards our verification. Not only that, we do stream at the same time on YouTube, so I'd appreciate if you if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. We're trying to reach 100 subscribers. We're currently at 87 subscribers, so I'd appreciate it if you hit the subscribe button. I do post additional content on those social media, guys, so don't forget to follow me everywhere. Enjoy all the content. Big thank you for all of you. Stay tuned for tomorrow, because tomorrow is going to be the first stream of Green Hell. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the stream. Peace.